run down the show where you have your say every day. We got the big kahunas. They're locked. They're loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers that you voted for. But before we jump into that, let's see how the futures are doing. As you saw me talk about on How to Trade on the Midday Show, we are at all-time highs. Whether you're looking at the triple Qs or the futures contracts, you can see that graph light right there on your left side of the screen at all-time highs. We'll let the big kahunas cover that in 1 second. But GameStop was all the rage today because last week, the shareholder meeting sadly got canceled due to technical difficulties. Today was the day to reschedule that, and it did take place without event. But as you can see, it was a bit of a sell the news event as the meeting ended and the stock went down and to the right, guys. What is your look on GameStop?
Quickly, before we get to that,
short Apple. Obi is short Apple.
Oh, are we short Apple?
Obi.
Uh-oh.
I do not advise that.
Somebody gonna get hurt.
Somebody are gonna get hurt real bad.
I actually thought I didn't realize it was his actual position was on. I just thought it was showing the face incorrectly there.
No, I looked over because it's GameStop, and right now we are $1, almost $2 now in the money off the bottom of GameStop. So we had lost on it. Now we're well up. This will be one of my top P&L names today, despite losing it. So we were going 27.50, out 28.50. I mean, that's a dollar right there early on GameStop, but it breaks through the 200 and does not continue. So then the fade happens. Whatever. I mean, we all knew the earnings call didn't mean anything. The earnings are already out. So apparently it meant sell. So, I mean, there it goes all the way to the downside. We waited sort of for the wash, and then, you know, you got to have bigger stops on GameStop, right? I mean, at least I do. And this is fine. So we were up or flat I think we were up here, but then we tried to average it back in there, took some profit, then lost it when we broke through 26.50. But then you see this little wash bottom there. I wasn't here when this was happening, which is fine. So I didn't have that opportunity to get long there. But then when I came back in and we sat back down, and I just said to myself, GameStop is moving. So let's go over and find out where we could possibly find a bottom. And again, being a support and resistance trader, we say that all the time. That is exactly my style. Not breakout, nothing. I mean, I'll do everything, but this is my number one where we put in the most amount of shares. So we did have the biggest position of the day here on GameStop. And we put it in right there based on this bottom. It does break, but I'm always giving GameStop at least 50 cents. So my stop did not trigger. And then right up to the upside, take 20, that's that 50. Then we're at $1. Now we're at 25.60, $1.30. It does touch 26. And then look, being a supporter resistance guy, it's right back there to resistance again. So that's why we take that out. Maybe we'll take another one at 26, but let's see. Maybe it goes up the rest of the day into the close and we figure out more and more about this name. So I know it doesn't show me longer in anything, but I'll take a fill and then get that updated for you right now.
Yeah, if Palantir breaks 25, you'll see that pop in for me. I actually did have that first wipeout, like this one in here. I was long earlier this morning. There it goes. Palantir just broke $25 because Palantir is an absolute rocket ship. But I did have that first wipeout, but I trailed it, and it was nasty. Like it broke 25. Like I scalped some out in front of 25. There was a huge sell order that came down at like 40s.
Made it funny
on Palantir. On GameStop down here. They were walking it down, then it released. I was in the long. It was tracking through 26. I'm like, okay, well, it's about to break 26. If it fails 26, I'll just trail it like 50 cents underneath. And then wick that entire thing out before pulling back in underneath 25 and then all the way back. So it was pretty nasty the way that move happened. Probably cleaner the second time through. It's a double top here at 26 even if it can break that. Otherwise, I'm just looking for the next curl. I wasn't at my desk when this one happened, but if it does another, by curl, I guess I should say bounce, like wick bottom for bounce. Curl usually you refer to when a stock is rounding up and going down. I'd be looking for bounce play somewhere in where it did last time. And like I always say, if you're trying to play something in the other direction, sometimes jumping into the latter name instead of the former name can be, the sympathy play can be the better way to express a short. AMC's still under $5. AMC's afternoon top is exactly Friday's low right now at $4.90. So if GameStop never breaks 26, AMC is like a short, I think, at this $4.90. But you need to see it get back up to that $26 level on AMI. Would not be short. GameStop, I'm not probably going to short, but if I see something like a curl and a flush in GameStop, I'd go over to AMC underneath the 490 level. I paid for locates in both this morning.
Susquehanna analyst Christopher Rowland assigning Nvidia a price target of $160, about a $30 premium from where it's currently trading at right now, liking its moat, liking its market dominance, and the like. It was a bit of a kind of a consolidated play today, still up on the day, about 1/4%, but definitely not participating in this big market move that we're seeing the other Mag 7 names play out, guys. What is the look on Nvidia?
Well, I mean, Nvidia was
Can't do all the work.
Nvidia amazing for a minute there, because we were long and it went all the way back into our level, and we were like, oh hell yeah, we like what we're seeing down there into 130, and we took that back up, and we were really doing quite well on it. It came back, then we lost 130, and we got out at 130.50, so that was actually turned out to be fine. Then we shorted it back in. That was good until it broke. So what I was going to get at was, it was really good early. If you played the short, you could have won there. You could have won on the long. I feel like it was a great stock early. It bounced off 130, so if that was sort of your ending spot there, obviously you didn't punch out. I mean, it only went down 40 cents against you, so I feel like that's not appropriate risk. I would hold that a little bit longer, but again, to each their own. So I could see how it'd be frustrating. Sometimes I've made that bottom wick, and that's the worst. So tough one, but it was easy to get out of. The minute we broke that 131, we kind of barcoded, came back in. There's your 130 again. And now it's kind of just a little boring for me right here. It's why we flipped over to the futures, and we'll talk about the futures once we're done the rundown. But yeah, so far so good here with Nvidia today. It's a positive stock. It was my #1 idea here today off 132 long, but that didn't hold. So we tried it early. We were pretty patient with it. I'm pretty pleased with how we traded it, as we're almost back, and we'll talk about the TQs, how we sort of screwed that up on the short, but then flip long. We're almost back to our highest spot we've been at all day.
Yeah, with Nvidia, for me, you get that obviously the dip at the open, you kind of time it really, really well. But in the afternoon, or I should say like at lunchtime and later on in the day, it's just been a little bit better. So I was red on it all. Pretty much most of the morning, we had a couple of good bounce plays, but went about 2 for 5 on our longs. Then went into like short 131.5 down in here. It reclaimed VWAP, so we did a scalp trade into 132.50. We're mentioning that to a couple of people in the midday. At this point, your opening range top is 132.5, and it's just rejected it a couple of times. If this busts out 132.5 and wants to join the rest of this party, then I want to be looking long, but I want this to break out. It's either got to bounce off VWAP or just give a breakout of this opening range, which could happen any second now on Nvidia. Just because it's asleep now doesn't mean it has to be asleep for the rest of the afternoon. Like, this is still Nvidia. You know it can go.
What a recovery for Amazon there. It absolutely held the IB low. We were talking about that on How to Trade midday show today. But look at that recovery off the low. It has been uninterrupted to the high side. No real catalyst today, but this one did come out midday. Amazon AI tested at major UK train stations to combat crime. RoboCop, is that you?
Oh, RoboCop has one of the single greatest. Well, it's a pretty violent opening, but it's a pretty intense opening. I love it. It was a classic movie. The remake is a little bit hit or miss. That's the best I'll give. But there's nothing hit or miss about the reversal on Amazon. On a 15-minute chart, Amazon doesn't have a red candle since midday. Like right at noon, if we can come to the chart, right at noon, you got a bottom. And then look at this thing trend into the upside. And the crazy part is it's not at a key resistance spot or anything. There's a lot of names that are, like, they're at levels that I just don't even like. But Amazon in here, so just go back to, this would be the 11th. That was the bottom at 184.5. Then on Thursday, you had resistance at 184.5. If anything, that just lines up a consolidation over 184.5 as a spot to go maybe jump off a second time through here. So Nvidia keeps on getting really close to breaking out that top. But where I'd say Amazon holding 184.5 on a 3-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, it's going to look like a nothing level. But you pull out that 15-minute and the consolidation above here still has room to go. So Amazon catching the market wind that more or less everything is at this particular moment. I'd be looking for a consolidation long up in here. 184.5, get it from the 15-minute. When in doubt, zoom out.
All right. Look, I don't know about Amazon. I mean, that just went straight to the upside. We don't have the futures on here. I don't know why. There's more futures traders, really, maybe that are watching this show even than equity traders. I want to thank all of you guys for that. And I actually tweeted this out already, is that today we are able to reverse into this, and we just said this is the life of a day trader, like literally life of a day trader. You know, we were short the TQQs there at the 75 mark, and then as soon as we broke 20,000, we're able to just accelerate this to the long side. And again, this is why we're right back to, you know, we gave some up because we were short. We were short into here. We talked about that. This turned out to be our worst stock as it broke higher. Nothing we could do. We got out, we got out, we got out. But now we're still in this, and now this is $3 in the money and over almost 250, more than 250 handles now in the money from when we punch long. So we scalp it out. Like, we know who we are. We always talk about that. We taking dollar clubs there, $1.50. Now that's $2.50. Let's see how high we can get here on the NASDAQ. I mean, up and away. You want to talk about resilient. I don't even know. Like I said, every day you don't even want to check your account because you'll be so happy with it. You may sell some, and then the very next day, literally the very next day, you're going to regret doing it again. And then you're going to buy and buy, and you never know where to get back in. So I just think, and again, Freedom and Wealth podcast would be a good place to start on this, but it's just a matter of being confident in where this market goes. We already know the rate environment that we're in, and it's a cutting one. They're not going to be raising anytime soon. It will be a cut. The next one will be a cut. Earnings keep on showing their head, and it keeps on working. Stocks that haven't provided good earnings get slapped, and those that do get bumped up. Microsoft had one of the best reports they ever had, all-time highs. Just took a minute, right? Amazon, you just saw that chart. And here goes the NASDAQ back to the upside. Whatever name is lagging, it will just catch up. So I like this trade. We are pretty much out of it. I don't hold things this long, but I just want to show everybody not just the ability to reverse it, but sometimes you got to flip the script and figure out, hey, when we're breaking these levels out there, and here's the 20,000 right here. This is what we were shorting, right? I mean, it's the exact same trade. So there's the NASDAQ, here's the TQQs. So we're doing the same dance. Short, breaks 20,000. I mean, I waited for it to break 20,020. So that's why I'm saying we're only 240, Sharif, 240 handles in the money. Yeah, it's a little small one, but at the end of the day, it's this move, right, that you're waiting for. Look at the 50 period. We'll be in the rest of this for a minute, but still decent trade there. The 50 period cost us a little bit on Apple, and maybe we'll talk about that after. How's Apple not on this list? But we love Palantir. I don't know where my hat is, but we've been Palantir for a hell of a long time.
I couldn't find it on Friday.
It might be in my car because
I was actually looking for it on Friday.
I wear it out to the bar. You know, it gets a lot of attention.
Sometimes
they're like, "Oh, you're a Palantir investor."
You gotta let the people know.
You know, yeah. You know, you gotta let people know when you're a Palantir kind of guy.
Seriously.
So let's go back over to Sharif and find. I don't know. I think it must be.
Because it was. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, Sharif, what's up?
Another name, Sean, at not all-time highs, but at day's highs, Palantir, as you just prefaced, shares are trading higher after Argus Research this time initiated a buy rating and a price target of $29. Palantir, multiple new government contracts this year. They also have the AI twist. What is your look, guys, on said Palantir?
Well, I can tell you, like on Friday when Sean wasn't here, it was when Palantir essentially went red to green. That was somewhere, it was right around this, right in here, like about right at the end of the show, of the morning show. Palantir dipped off VWAP and then did the just trend in the entire day. And we're like, oh, where's the hat? We should have it on the desk or something because Palantir is going ham. Well, it went, I don't know, just whatever ham squared would be, and that's what Palantir did today. When we talk about breakout trades, this through 24, hindsight's going to be 2020. But opening range top, $24.01. And then it consolidated right here at about noon at 24 again, went like 10 cents up and down. And then, you can see the rest is history. There was a weird little break in here at 24.80, which ended up being like a local high. So kind of had that break in at 25. The 25 break hasn't worked, but it's still trending very strongly to the upside. When you look at the higher time frame, what's essentially not to like? It's the recent breakout of local highs with nothing standing in its way till this $25.50 level, which last I checked is still another couple points away from here. So strong look for Palantir. Even if it were to dip, like this trend is intact until it gets back into last week's resistance levels, that's in the low 24s at this point on PLTR.
All right. Just Okay, the futures are what they are. Look, we've been long Palantir for a minute. We've been putting on our sticky notes that we love 22, 23, 21. I mean, all the time when it was down here. We rarely wrote down a short chance for Palantir, but yeah, this might have been a missed opportunity. Can you get it again? Sure. I mean, there was some negativity surrounding the name when they talked about the inclusion of CrowdStrike, GoDaddy, and
KKR.
KKR. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that those aren't even in there already. So my hat's off to them, and next is Palantir. I mean, the stock is holding. It's not, it used to have like a meme stock kind of connotation to it because it would fly around some days, 10, 20%, and just like when BlackBerry was going or some of those other names were going, you know, they all were kind of flying around, and Palantir did catch some of that drift for a while. But again, a direct listed company, over 25 years old. I think it's now 6 quarters, might only be 5 quarters of EBITDA profitability, which qualifies them. And we talked about that on their earnings calls. And they've been getting bumped up, but it does get faded when it gets to these highs. I just wonder, until there is an actual, and you know, they're going to be in many, I mean, S&P 400, so on and so forth, small caps, mid caps, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm just thinking that it'll start to stable out a little bit, and I feel like just continue. Take out the highs once we finally get some sort of an idea that that's what's going to happen. So I think we wait for that. We wait for their next earnings call. I have no idea when it is, but I like Palantir long. The daily is pretty sweet, man. I mean, up another 6% today. You have to like the stock, and guess what? I like the stock. So down to the 200 period, held this morning. That's the only point of reference that I have right now. So I'm going to try the long maybe at 24.50 if it does pull back. You know, but yeah, the market, I'm not sure it will do that. So Palantir continues to be one of those names that is, in my opinion anyways, and we just talked about this with getting FOMO, I'll steal Jim Cramer's line here. This is a hold, don't trade stock if you have it in the long-term portfolio, IMO.
Chips very strong today, and Micron fits that narrative quite well, very close to day's high. Cantor Fitzgerald commenting on the name today, loving it. Not really surprised. They are commenting on the price target, $180 bump. They're maintaining their overweight rating. As you can see, it's trading in the high 140s, which adds a decent premium based on that price target of 180, guys. Any look today on Micron?
No trades on Micron. We're trading a lot of other the other chip names, I should say. Not a lot of others, but Nvidia, AMD, for me, is going to be the way to have gone. When you talk about this whole super cycle, or what's going to happen with AI, at least for Apple, there's other sides to that because you're going to get AI embedded in PCs. ARM benefits from it going into all small devices, but Micron certainly catching some benefit here. And the chart's going to speak for itself. It's another all-time high for Micron. It was a not clean breakout this morning, because if you had, so sometimes, if you had that opening breakout trade on Micron, then your day probably stunk unless you got out right away. That said, and I got to, you know what, from now on, I'm just realizing with these really, really strong stocks, if ever there's a reversal trade at the open where it fails a breakout level, stays green, and then in the afternoon it comes all the way back for a V-shaped recovery, that same level that it failed at the open is probably a good long spot. We saw that happen with, Palantir actually did that recently, believe it or not. And then today with Micron, this 146.25 where it got to, you zoom it forward, like there's your wick, there's your huge rejection. And this is what it looked like. This is what the dip was in Micron when it challenged that same opening range top. 146.30 prints, it goes up 20 cents, it pulls back, and would have been 10 cents against you. If you took the opening range break on a $146 stock at the moment, it went 10 cents against you in that consolidation and then just trended higher. So you think about the mechanics of what happens here, it's a big short in there that probably traps a lot of people shorting underneath VWAP and all that good stuff and shorting underneath the market high or the range high, and then it's just a monster breakout trade for Micron from there. So these late day breaks and stocks that are trending up, that's going to be the key. Stock is trending up here. I don't think you like that on a stock it's trending down for obvious reasons, but a big mover there for MU. And like we say, it's a blue sky setup. I just saw Darwin say a firm spike. Really? Because a firm short, that would have worked this morning for sure. But a firm getting a bit of a spike. I don't know if this volume spike has anything to do with any news, but even a firm catching a bit of a bid. This was gliding down like all the payment names the last couple of sessions, and it's catching a bid here. I still like the short this week in front of 32 on a firm, though.
For 32. Didn't it get way up there, 38 and change or something?
Oh, yeah, it was 34.
News?
The Apple news, just to finish the thought here, only because it was ridiculous. On the Apple news, it went up a couple of days in a row. So it was at 32 and change, went all the way to $38, wow. Broke out this huge channel, then just started fading back underneath. So like that trend to the downside, it really only broke it for a day, and then it's been a sell. That's why I like the short. If you get that kind of a trend break on news, on Apple news, and you can't hold it, ooh, that's not good. I mean, you get the Apple bump, you're supposed to sustain the Apple bump. Otherwise, to me, there's something wrong with the stock.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I was like, I'm actually surprised. My memory is definitely pretty weak, but remembered 38 for some reason. But here we go here. Make sure you try to escape the rat race and check out our latest podcast with Brendan and myself. It was a pretty good one, I think. Here's Apple. We just tweeted this out not too long ago, and I'll just because Micron's there, I know Apple was a close 5th or 6th to come through, but we wrote down here on today's sticky note that we wanted these longs in Apple, and I just tweeted it out. I guess we got out of these 213 Apple shares a bit early, face palm. And that's where, and I did the tick replay on trade ideas. And again, hit Trader TV 20 if you ever want to have a quick check on that. But at the same time, I just wanted to say okay, right here. So I did the tick replay because I was like, why the heck would I got out right there, right? And there was a 50-period moving average cross that happened, and it's like, if we had just held it, you might have got stopped out there on that 50-period as it's looking right now. But then we could have realistically, this is the 50-period break right there. So I feel that we got out at 215.70, and the out could have been right here, 216.25 or so. So we didn't do exact justice for that, but man, oh man, like what a barcoding opportunity that was there at 216, only to continue to go higher there for Apple. So we're out of this. This is by far my number one P&L name. And we took this pretty early. I mean, not that early, I guess, 9:50 in the morning. I guess that's not that early, but look, we already had a developed bottom. So we already knew that was something that we wanted to look for. So when that hit through, boom goes a dynamite back there to the upside. So, yeah, I mean, sure, it would look cool to still have it on, but you gotta follow some of your rules, and that sort of leads me to the TQQ trade, which, look what we're doing right now. We talked about not getting out of it. We take the long here against the 50-period moving average. So this long on the break, we went long. Once it broke, I went long. I'm like, that's the one thing about these futures. I'm not gonna fight a market. I'll fight a stock because sometimes you think that the reasons for it to go up or whatever don't exist, and you don't see the catalyst for it. But the market catalyst has been here for the last couple months, and we've seen what's been driving it. And Nvidia, and now Apple gets on board and says, just climb on this back, and so does Microsoft. There's too many tailwinds right now in the NASDAQ to not want to reverse it. So I did it anyways with a little bit of a tight stop, and that's just been, what a ride to the upside. But we should have, if we were looking at this, I just want to tell everybody, this might have been a stop out area. You know, but look at it's held the 50-period. I'm not going to reload something that's up 4%. And of course, remember, it's triple levered, but the NASDAQ is still up that 1.43%. I'd rather see it settle down somewhere. But for right now, there's been a big recovery here for the NASDAQ today that was at one point, I don't know if it was, well, it was red as we were trading it. I just don't know how red. I think it got to like 0.3 or something like that.
It wasn't that. It was red for sure.
Yeah, maybe 0.2. I don't know, something like that. But now you've retraced up 2% basically from those bottoms. So I've definitely learned my lesson fighting trends, man. I want to thank AMD for costing me thousands of dollars probably to learn that lesson. But you know, you can't make money if you don't give yourself an opportunity to lose money, and that just means like you're not going to make $500 if you don't give yourself an opportunity to risk that much money at the end of the day. So it's like, take those lumps on AMD to hopefully learn your lesson in the future, so that that $500 hit can turn into $5,000 at some other point, because you're confident now and you've learned it on a smaller scale so that you can get better on a bigger scale. So that's part of what this trade here on the TQQs was. Just try not to stand in the way of stuff, and then like learning about Apple and Nvidia and all that. Like that's really helped some bulls be able to be more confident holding stuff, because it really hasn't slapped you yet. Yeah, there will be a time.
Oh, there's going to be a moment.
There's going to be a moment where these things are going to be down 20, 25%.
But speaking of AMD today, even AMD's back up at the highs. It's not green yet, but the way the market's going, AMD might. And I wanted to short AMD today, and thankfully we got out of the way of this one at 156.5. But look at the trend up; it's super strong. I don't know that it's got the juice to break through the 161, 162 levels that have been plaguing this stock because it's relatively weak. You can kind of see the difference between this and a lot of the other chip names. It should speak for itself. The 50-period moving average has been essentially like an anchor on the stock right now. So if it can't break away, then I consider it relatively weak. There was news on Affirm, just that Apple is discontinuing Apple Pay Later ahead of its new features. So before they roll out their new features, in the new release, they're going to get rid of temporarily Apple Pay Later. That's why Affirm got a bit of a bid there. I guess the algos really like that, but I don't see that as gigantic because in the long run, when there was the announcement earlier, the stock went from $32 to $38. So if it's not back above 32, or at least maybe the 32.5 when I zoom in a little bit closer, on the daily chart it kind of looked like 32, but it's more like 32.5 when you go to Friday's highs. So yeah, it's probably a ways away from Affirm getting into any kind of a resistance level there. I thought maybe it was spiking a little bit more than that, and there would be an Affirm short, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case at all. I chuckle, but what are you going to do? And there is a small cap name that I had on the eyeballs, which could possibly break out today. That's going to be Polestar. The news this morning was simply they're getting into like 7 new markets that were in Europe. The volume's okay, it's done 36 million, and it's near the highs. It just needs to break some of these tops to make a run at $1. So you have an 89 top. It's on the radar, but unless it starts going soon, might have to go by the wayside for sure. Nice skin in the chat asking me about GameStop for the rest of the day. Well, if GameStop doesn't break 26, I'm short AMC to 490. Like AMC doesn't break to 490. It's down 3%. It's GameStop that had the catalyst today and is moving a little bit more. But this double top here at 26 on GameStop, if it never breaks that, then I just want to short this 490 area on AMC. So that's the play I'm in right now. I was looking for like another wipeout bottom where that's the best chances to get the long have been when you get a huge hammer candle down like this one and then a bounce. This kind of worked, but then I had it right before the event started, so it was kind of like it did the hammer down and was bouncing, but then they started the shareholder call and then everything just sort of dumped, and then you got that one there and then another one here. So that's what I would look for. Just a huge volume move down where it reverses on GameStop. Those have been your best long opportunities, and I feel like that one would have been better if they didn't start that shareholder meeting because they sold a you-know-what out of it the second that meeting started. It's like someone was just waiting to do the sell program when they turned it on.
Yeah, we're just talking a little bit in the chat there as well. I think finding out sell programs and like when momentum is stopped, I think is so important. I mean, and that's what actually goes back to the midday show when they're talking about reading the tape. It's like a lot of times you'll be able to see like it just stops, and on GameStop like just stops going up. And it gets hit down. See, it's like gets hit down, then 5,000 shares shows up, and then now all of a sudden maybe it gets to 24.90, and that 5,000 comes there. There's another 2,000 with the 5,000 still there. And then there you go. There's 90s. You see, so like as we're talking about this, it's like happening right in front of our face. So it just needs to like wipe these levels out, and then maybe now you have a recent bottom at 24.85 or whatever that bottom was. So now you could scalp 20 or 50 cents maybe back up, and then now you're noticing again having a hard time going. So you kind of just, for me to sit here and do color commentary on a GameStop like this today would be probably entertaining for some of you guys, but a little boring for me. And we have less than 10% left of this stock right now. So we got out right here at that level. We took more shares. I told you this was the largest position for me of GameStop on the day because we actually had not confidence, but we had a level. Whether or not we were confident about it was the amount of share size. It is going to be a positive stock, even if this goes all the way back down. So we didn't have a huge amount of shares, but we had enough to turn this sort of a flat scenario here for me, which was still a little bit up now that I look at it, into a decent sized winner with the ability to hold it back. So right now we actually have a bit of shares left on this name, so we'll wait to see here where we go on this. We have 15% left. Sorry, not a bit of shares, but 15% left of GameStop, and looking to see what's happening next on that. So yeah, reading the tape so valuable, as Neil was just mentioning there as well. So check that out. The other stock before we get into it. Oh, Adrian, that's what it was. I wanted to say like,
Hey, yo, Adrian.
Hey, yo, Adrian. I always scale best advice. Yeah, I mean, I try to scale out. And so what I just said there, I asked Adrian for a little bit of help because he was 100, I mean, not a little bit of help, but just like his opinions, you know? And because this has really been the game changer for me. And it's about exactly what it says here. It's about learning, and again, what's up to Adrian there? It's about learning how to hold your trades. Be a subscriber, join the chat. Hit the like and subscribe. The hardest part is knowing when to exit fast, when to hold. You know, the balance between conservatism and aggressiveness. So then I just said to him, like, you know, those words are great words. And I mean, you could host a show. So that's why I asked him, you know, what kind of ideas or suggestions may he have for a kind of trader like I am, seeing the kind of mistakes I make and the wins I make. And he says, stop kidding me. No, but I'm being seriously. Trying to transform good ideas onto proper trades here. So VWAP, 9 EMA are fair enough for him. And I feel like the more you keep it simple, the easier that it probably is. So I do like that sort of advice there, a 9 EMA on what time frame I would just say for that. If you're talking about a 1 minute chart or whatever, that would help for that. But other than that, VWAP is true on no matter what the time frame is. So just a matter of where you start it. We have anchored VWAP. A lot of people will start it right at 930. Anyway, it's accumulation of all the volume with the price and then wait it out. And then that's what the VWAP is. So it doesn't matter if you're looking at a 15-minute chart or whatever. The volume would just be in that 15 minutes, which summed up would be the same as 15 one-minute candles. So you get the same results there. Wait a minute, Apple shares.
What's happening?
Oh, Affirm share. Was the news about Affirm that Apple was not going to use them?
No, essentially it's just that Apple's discontinuing Apple Buy Now, Pay Later ahead of their new
right.
The new
so
release.
That would be good for Affirm.
That's good for Affirm. I mean, definitely in the short
well,
run.
But if they're using Affirm for that, then it would be bad.
We already know they're using Affirm for. By the way, this MBIO is breaking a big level. Macro. What is it? What is this thing? Mustang Bio macro. No, they have some product which is like macro and then like 20 other letters. But 70 is a huge break on this. Just quickly, there's your daily chart. You guys can see 70. So. It's done 900 million shares today. The float is 21 million. So suffice to say it's doing a little bit more than the float. I'm going to have a breakout trade here, but I'm willing to play this a couple of ways. If it dips back into previous highs, that's like 62 to 64. So 65, sorry. It's like 62 to 65, I'd look for a dip buy trade, and then I'm going to have a 70 break on Mustang Bio. Great name. But the phase 3 drug, yeah, there was like it was positive. Oh, sorry. It was a phase 1 and 2 clinical trial of MB106. There's a name for it, but I can't pronounce the name. So good news for MBIO. It's just a low float, relatively speaking, runner trying to make a run at this high of the day, up 415%. But that's what penny stocks can do.
Oh, yeah. Penny stocks can do that.
The magic of the penny stock. And the crazy thing is, as you're talking about the level 2 and tape reading, what I found is there was a day where FFIE was doing, I mean, it did over 1 billion shares as well. And I remember it's so different penny stocks that do that kind of volume now than when I started trading penny stocks like 20 years ago, obviously. But I find that you have to like watch the tape on those massive days so you can get a feel for how they move, like what kind of gateways are people using, how is there spoofing and all that kind of stuff, and you get a better feel for it. But this is just going to be a clean breakout. I'll probably give it back to like 68 on a break of 70 here on MBIO. Still not much happening on AMC. Apple doesn't seem to want to break that high of the day. I guess, you know what, if Obi was high at the high, if Obi was not high, if Obi was...
Yeah, he's out of it now.
No, I was going to say, but if he was short off of the high of the day, it's double topped, 218.75. That's actually been a good short up here, but you know, Apple's still a rocket ship.
I think the short could be okay, actually. I just put another bid down here at 24. I just was like, okay, I mean, We've already gotten it out. GameStop's been good. If it does come back down, I don't know if I mentioned it to everybody, I will reload that off that bottom again. So that's a trade if it comes in, and I want to talk about it now before it happens because I don't want to forget about it. The red name of the day for me is going to be Tesla, and it's just because of this. But I'm feeling pretty good about it again. You know, we talked about this earlier, to not have your big losers close to your winners. And for me, that's been a problem. And today, we felt good about what we were able to do with this, and that was to get out of the way. Made money. We did, let me see if I can zoom in one more. And again, just being like humble and telling you guys, like, this is, neither one of us or anybody here has a problem showing you if and when we lose and to just describe what we were thinking and what we were seeing. So, I mean, this one here, we were going short into 180, but the thing is we didn't actually start to short this thing until 180. So we had to give this a little bit of room. And I feel like on Tesla, I have to at least give it $1. I mean, $180, we didn't even start shorting it till 180. So we had to give it at least $1, and that really worked out. And then it came back in, and that way we were taking $1.25, and we started making money. Then we started getting a little bit, I don't want to say cocky or anything like that, but as it started to go up, we didn't understand why. So then I started saying, oh, well, I'm going to go short here and use 180, 150 as the high. So we got stopped out the first time at 180, 150, but it made the high. And then I was like, oh man, I'm so mad, not mad, but I was like, okay, well, we missed it by like 4 cents. We made the high by 4 cents. And then I took the short again and made it all back. And then we took the short again and was just getting printed. But the best we were getting was like 70 cents. So 70 cents, 70 cents. And then we took it again, and then eventually it broke higher. So, you know, we did have a decent position on because, hey, it's 10 o'clock. If we're going to be right and this is the high, then we'll be completely fine, and then we'll really start to stack it up, right? But at the same time, that did not happen. So we had to, you know, be careful with what we were doing and what we were looking at, and got out of the way. So that was a good trade for us there. And I was even saying to Neil, I was like, damn, it's too bad because both of us were thinking that this stock was strong, and we had an opportunity to go long there, and we didn't. And that's, you know, it just touched 189, like, crazy stock, nice pullback to the 200. And not only that, I was going to talk about it, that this was also an opportunity if it came back in, and it looks like it's coming back in maybe quicker than I thought it would. So, yeah, Tesla today, good stock, great stock, up 5%, but the NASDAQ's up 1.5%. So,
yeah, it was frustrating because, well, there's a reason why I use this one as the lesson of the day. I try to make it something that we learned that day. I just find it's a lot more interesting, especially for everybody. It's like, well, it's fresh in your mind, and you just made that mistake, or you could have done this thing better. Why not talk about it that day? And it was 100%. Maybe not the 180 reversal. I don't see a world in which I take that one. It's the 182. You know, the second level, the first level that I like for short, I'm going to be short that level. The second one, it's like, hey, well, if we're breaking both of them, maybe it's a little bit of a long opportunity. I don't know if you get VWAP, but does it even need it at this point? Friday's high. Really, Friday's high, just going back here, is like 186. Okay, at the open range, pre-market was different. But 186 is Friday's high. I guess it could bounce off that. This MBIO thing, it was about to break 70. It went to 69.5. It pulled back. It just bounced off 60 here. I got 60.88 because why not? If I when I'm typing a price, a lot of times it's like if I'm doing a fraction when it's back above 60, I'll just do 8.8 or 4.4 or 2.2. But holding the 60 level at least for now. If it doesn't, I'm going to jump out of this trade. I don't want it pulling back into VWAP. Like VWAP is 25% away on this stock. I see a lot of people talking about Meta. Meta has been absolutely flying like everything else out there. The only issue I have with Meta, first of all, love Meta. It is at a pretty big resistance spot. Like last week, it failed a 510 up to 517 and then put in a lower high at 510. And it has been an absolute mess at the $510 level. Like it's just been up and down at least 4 or 5 times, like breaking 510 back below, breaking 510 back below. I just think you need to hold a bid above the $0.50 before this is truly through this resistance spot. So I don't want, like, it's hard to take a breakout at such a high when a stock looks like this, and it's at a big level on the higher time frame. So it needs to clear out some bigger highs, and then we get involved. Mark, AVGO is a boom. We just can't wait for this thing to actually split, and then we can be involved in a $180-something stock, or maybe a $200 stock by the time they do it, instead of an $1,800 name. Broadcom, like the stock, but we're not going to be day trading it usually because of that issue. one thing that I had this in my note this morning, and I think it's just got to be more mentally flexible for myself with this strategy, because CrowdStrike's going into the S&P 500 at the end of the week. And if you just look at the last couple of, I'm only going to show you a few days in here, but it's been having these big bottom turnarounds when it gets to about $380 or so. It's like, yeah, it dipped so far, and then it just gets program bought. Doesn't quite get to 380, so you don't get the big action on Thursday or Friday. But then today it does breach the 380, and you get that program buy, and then even more gusto. It's going into the S&P 500. There's going to be buyers of this stock. So I think the next time I see a dip at the open, just maybe up until Friday at least, look for some opportunities to get in the long. And I like this one. You can probably look at KKR for that as well. I don't like that concept as much for GoDaddy because it's essentially going from like a smaller index into a larger one, as opposed to just being a straight up ad like KKR and CrowdStrike are.
All right. Oh yeah. So I want to talk about the TQQ trade, but this is really what for me what it's all about. I just get a message 3 minutes ago with a heart. So I would draw a heart back to her with this, but how do I?
That's
there
all right.
it is. Yeah, to my wife. Yeah, that doesn't. Well, this is just for you guys.
You know what I see
just
when you do that?
Right there.
See, I'm always hungry. The first thing
dove, or
I saw
like a chicken?
fortune cookie.
Oh, I thought maybe a chicken here. Oops. I thought like these could be like the feathers there, and you get like a little like legs here.
I'd go for some chicken wings too.
There, it kind of looks like more of a chicken now, like a chickadee.
A chick.
See ya.
I don't know.
All right. So, anyways, what's up to my wife? Love you, of course. All right, and thanks for making Father's Day a nice one, a great one, actually. All right. So, I just want to say right here, All right. So, two things. When we break, I mean, I'll speak as if, I don't know. Yeah, it's just when we break it, I'll get out. So that's the best way to do it, because if we break it, we'll get out. So right there, when this breaks, we'll get out 77.10s. Now I'm thinking of actually flipping this over and then going short against the 50 period if we could stay underneath it. All this consolidation at day's high, generally, the break would be fantastic. Back up 2 days high off of a 50 period bounce. So I feel like right now I'm going to be able to do this. So we'll go short here on a breakdown. I don't know if we need to have 77 break or not. I almost just think a break of this level. It may float back up here and retest. And if we retest the 50 period, I feel like we can get out there. I mean, we can get out right here anyways, which is where the 50 period is. So I actually like a flip on this to bring it back down. We are still, by the way, dollar right now in GameStop as that just starts to head back up to the upside. But just a little game plan, and again, trying to talk about teaching moments. And I also do want to add to it, I feel like, if we break long through here. That's a little different of a situation, but I don't mind even punching long and then using the 50 period as our out. But that's going to be, that might not be enough space. Like breaking this high is basically 77.45, and then you're only going to give it what? 5 cents? That's not enough. So I think you'd have to give it at least to here 21. So if you're going to play this break of 45, I feel like you got to at least give it to that recent bottom. So 20 cents worth. So what goes through my mind again is risk management. So how many shares do I want to put in if I'm going to lose 20 cents? So if that's my stop. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm thinking about. But right now I am thinking about going short on it. The stop order is already in for that. And then I see a lot of people talking about Shopify, and you talked about, you told me during the midday there that this was a trade that you guys had talked about with Obi, and I think you guys nailed that on Friday, where it was sort of the fake, not the fake break, that's today right there, 66. Yeah. Fridays was this break here of 68, and then a rejection back in. So yeah, I mean, boom, and then today, I mean, it started off with what was it, downgraded or something today? I don't know.
I don't know what the news was, why it was so weak today. I'm not even sure there was news on Shopify. It's just, it's almost like, okay, you know what? Oh, thank you, Adair. Adair said there wasn't. It could just be stock did 14 out of 15 days green, reached the 200 period moving average, turned around a little bit, and then turned around some more today. So, it could just be that. I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes if you search enough for a reason, you'll come up with one, and it's just better to trade the price action. It might be a good short here. The only reason I'm saying that is that dip found a bid at 66.80. So like it was a good short into here. I trailed it. I wish I could tell you I held it to that 66.80, but I trailed it back through VWAP. But 66.8 was the bottom. It was a good support level, and it just curled once underneath that. So support into resistance on this recovery name, and it just put in a lower high. So lower highs in front of a, in theory, resistance level. If you're going to short something, it's still down 1.5% overall. It is a strong upward trend, but if this gets above 66.80, I think you're in a bit of trouble with any kind of a short. It is higher lows and all that good stuff. So you want to have an out. So if I couldn't find an out there at the 80, I wouldn't even consider it there on Shopify. Just checking Apple, no breakout just yet. AMC wants that 490. I'm short at, oh, we were in it, and then it looks like it broke the 490. So we just got out. Is AMC...
Well, Apple's, were you short?
Not NM. I was short in front of 490. So we just broke that 490. Yeah, GameStop probably went. That makes sense. You know, GameStop going up or not going up was the reason we're in that short. So we had it underneath this 490 level, which was support into resistance. Very similar pattern to what we saw there in Shopify. That MBIO, if it breaks the high of the day, I'm looking to add on a break of the high. It's a NASDAQ stock. We just hit enter. New York stock. We took the dip into 60. It's now playing back. It's at 66, but 70 is a big level on the daily chart. So the dip buy is different from the breakout trade. The breakout's a 70 level that you'll see on the daily chart, which I already showed you guys. So if we get a 70 break, you'll see me in a new position breaking the high of the day. A lot of people asking about Dell. Dell's a rocket. Absolute rocket ship. But so many things are
on earnings and just keeps going up.
Yeah, it does. You know what? It wasn't the best on earnings, but we talk about letting things calm down a bit. Well, I mean, Dell calmed down. It consolidated right here at 130 bucks, consolidated at the 50-period moving average, and then today it decided to break it out. So if you're patient with this, missing some of the data, but you guys saw that in the daily. I'll just keep it on the daily chart. That'll show it just fine. You get that big pullback. It was down 20%, more than 20%, almost 30-something percent. Holds this 130, you get the nice rounded bottom, higher lows off the 50 period, and then you get the breakout today. So if you're patient, wait a couple of days after earnings. If it shows a support level, you can jump into something, and that looks like a fantastic one for Dell. If it was a stock on my list of things I wanted to buy on dips, 100% I would have gotten that one because it gave you the 50-period moving average. All those things I didn't dip by in this last market rally are the ones that didn't get to that line on my chart. But if you like Dell, I mean, it got there and hung out there for 2 weeks. So you probably shouldn't have missed it if you like the dip buy.
Yeah, lots of opportunities to buy some of these names. I mean, you had an opportunity to buy Microsoft. You had
don't get me started about Microsoft.
What's up, Day Trader Cut? You want to know how many fills I got? All right, so this guy here. Day Trader
334.
Says he has says he has 47 fills today. That's a pretty good amount of fills. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like honestly, my best stocks today is going to be, I mean, it's not going to be TQQ. We'll talk about Apple, but like, this is where it's very, very overrated to say, how many fills, because at the same time, it's like we only have one fill long. It's one trade. It's just, this is how I scalp it out because again, sitting here on a prop floor, I roll way more shares than I can even afford into these trades, right? And so I'm not trading my own money. So when it gets to the upside and it starts to go, we take that profit and we eat what we kill here on the prop floor. So if that's the same for all of you, then you can sort of relate a little bit when we talk about fills and whatnot. So this is 152. 220 about today for fills. So not, oh no, a little bit, about 200 for fills. Like we have already just even here on Tesla, which is ridiculous, 44 fills today on Tesla because just back and forth scalping. So right there, a quarter of our day is basically just trading Tesla for a half hour, right? Back and forth. So yeah, I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. And with all of those fills today, I do have a little bit more fees than usual in around the $30 range for fills. I have some market outs and some market ins, including some of the trades. So when you put in limit orders where you're removing liquidity, you pay for those. So, all right, here we go. So back to the upside right now. So we withstand that punch out. We don't have to make it. I wasn't willing to go long. I'm not going to go long on an unsupported level. I mean, it's only supported by the 50 period, but guess what? We're under that. So we're not supported by that anymore. If we break higher, great. Then again, I think we can try to use some of these levels as our areas. But what I feel like might happen now, because we're just 250, and join us at the bottom of the hour, we will be joined by Danielle Shay. So we'll talk about options and talk about some earnings plays and whatnot coming through there. So we will have Danielle Shay just in a matter of minutes now. But 77.50. Could be the break long, and then if you just think that this move can continue upside with the NASDAQ possibly reaching 2% or so today, might be worth it. I just wonder if it's too jiggly up here for me to do anything about. Let me go.
Too jiggly?
Yeah, it could be too jiggly.
I don't know if it can ever be too jiggly.
No, it could be. It could be way too jiggly, man. Trust me. All right, so right into there, 132.60 or so. Coming in for Nvidia would be the break long there. This one, not doing much either for Nvidia. I know you are already all over AMD. I'm just trying to think about it.
Well, not anymore, man. AMD's too strong.
No, not anymore now, but I'm saying if the market does break down, AMD's still red. Like AMD is well against the market now. It's like not even a question at this point. And you just kind of...
The question is, when is AMD a buy?
This is not a bad position right now to go short even right here.
It's right
because you're just right against it. You give yourselves like 20 cents worth of a stop. But I don't want, I mean, honestly, the fighting this market would be ridiculous. And that's one thing that I told myself I don't want to do, because even here on AMD, in order for you to make real money, what am I going to put 500 shares here short? And then if it blasts back up through 159.20, like, where's my out? Then if it goes right now immediately to 20, do I punch out and just take the hit? And then I'm like, oh man, I just cost myself $100, for no reason really, just because I was trying it. I don't know. I'm not in love with this. I'd much rather play the momentum if I'm gonna put on a bigger position. So GameStop, just quickly here before we start talking about other names. I know Neil got out of that AMC, and the bottom was 24.70, and it just went back to the 50 period, so it went up about 75 cents from that bottom, and now is just retracing back again off the 50 period SMA. So that's something that's we'll continue to look for and look for some more opportunities as I try to check the scanner. I mean, I don't really want to trade oil names. XOM was kind of dancing. Well, I mean, let me see what XOM looks like. Yeah, I mean, I like oil. I've been just long the XLE. I do hold XOM, but I don't hold too much else. I hold Enbridge in Canada, but that's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was one of the first stocks I ever bought, was ExxonMobil. So, or was Enbridge. Okay, so
I was going to say ExxonMobil.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe. I've been probably holding this one for a long time,
most
too.
Canadians won't,
But I put in, when I actually started really investing, I had so much U.S. cash, it was stupid. So, all right, 108.30. Because I was working here, right? So 108.30, again, that's the breakdown. It looks like we could get that happening. 108.30, that's where we sort of are now. But this break lower on the daily for XOM, you're underneath the 200 period. So I would actually favor the short in XOM, and it's breaking right now. So this could be, that's probably what it was. VWAP scanner trying to break lower. So there it goes, XOM trying to give it up. This might be a good short as well. I might still be punching into this short in the market pretty soon. So that's kind of what I'm watching right now.
So that's this MBIO just broke 70. I'm like, that stock. It's the stock I'm on right now. So we had the long into 60, got up to 70. We took the break at 70. I have a price over 70, but our little display system doesn't really give you all the zeros. So I have Daryl Strawberry, so 74.4. I have an offer out in front of 73. If it gets to 75, I want to have most of this out. Just going station to station on MBIO. It's hilarious when you say, I'm on a penny stock right now, but as you say, we get a bunch of Canadian money. When you started trading, we traded only U.S. names here at Real Trading. And so you were paid in the currency of the stock or the things that you traded. So I'll get paid in U.S. And anything that wasn't like the market or like mutual funds when I first started, like single stock trading, early on, I ended up, because I was a penny stock trader, I put the U.S. dollars, and I bought a couple of penny stocks. I didn't lose money. I just did dumb things with them. But that was one of those. That was one of those good lessons I think that I learned early on, which was not to try to avoid bag holding. Take profits where they lie. The other stock that we're in is that Shopify short. So this is not the same setup as on Friday, because on Friday it was a trend break. So like if you draw a trend line here, it broke a trend line and it was super strong. This is different. It's actually a double top underneath the resistance level on Shopify. I'm just going to get on the bid in front of 30. I don't know why I would bid 29, other than the fact that the greatest right fielder in Blue Jays history wore the number 29. Shout out to Jesse Barfield, my favorite player in MLB. Well, in the Toronto Blue Jays back in the day.
All right, yeah, good player, good cannon on that guy for sure. Now that George Springer might be the highest paid and one of the worst contracts, I guess, in Major League Baseball.
You know what? He's a hard-working guy.
Oh, I like the guy. His father
effort,
time.
Yeah, he's
and
just
then
old.
ridiculous management. I mean, signing him. Yeah, and he really fell apart quicker than I think anybody could imagine.
It's a lot of hustle, that guy, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, I really like George Springer.
Dude, that new kid that we got.
You owe the guy $50 million, and he bats what? He bats 200. He bats seventh, and he plays right field, and he makes $50 million over the next 2 years. So it's crazy. All right, so that's
You're not getting out of that contract.
No, hell no, you're not. You just got to try to right the wrongs and don't make the same mistake again. They might do it. Okay, so right here, 77 and change. We still are waiting for that break lower. Right there, 77.10. I already have the stop to go in there. If it breaks, I want to get short the market here. And then just use this. I mean, we just failed again. Remember, we were like, I don't think we really want to break the top there, then really mess with that high. So I'll go short here once we break. I don't even really need to look at it because we still are long. So we're still $2 in the money. We don't have too much left of this, about 10% left. We'll take it out when it breaks lower. And then I feel like reversing the short is probably something that I'll do. So let's wait for that. I don't want to get out right now. I'd rather see it break before we get out. DraftKings was on one today for sure. DKNG, good movement, man. We talked about this one down there at $36, $37, I believe. Yeah, it looks like it got a little bit lower than that. And then there was some past areas. I think it was just the past support. Yeah, right into there. The reason why I remember this price, because I told you guys this is where I wound up getting out. And I could have just sort of right the wrong and got back in right there on this move, but I did not, as DraftKings comes in right there again. And with NFL just getting more popular, the most of the reasons driving NFL TV revenues and stuff like that is gambling. So, that's not going anywhere. People are going to be staying at home and gambling more and more and more. You're going to see like record numbers on the Euro Cup. You're going to see every single sporting event moving forward is going to have record gambling numbers and probably record TV revenues because of that.
Even the Olympics is a
most
gambling phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
in
every sport.
The best part about it is like it's just a completely. There's so much for the Olympics. So like, you like this sport or you don't, or you're like, I'm just gonna watch the Olympics because it's the Olympics. People will start betting on that. A friend of ours, I remember years ago, was like, hey Neil, you ran track and field, and he's like, give me some picks in the Olympics. He just wanted to throw down on some stuff. The days of being able to really take advantage of knowledge are pretty much gone. Like, you got to really know your stuff. Back in the day, like, you just watched some of these lesser known, not hype events. If you knew a thing or two, it was easy to pick the winners. But nowadays, everybody's smart. NBIO here, just very quickly. That 70 break got up to 74, and then I trailed out the last. It just broke 70. It was a big hammer candle here with a rejection underneath that 75. So we're out of it. We've dip botted a couple of times. It's still trend up. It's going to do 100 million. Sorry, it's going to do 1 billion shares. It's already done hundreds of millions. Going to do 1 billion shares plus today. I think there's going to be other opportunities. Appreciate the super chat here. AER Peachy Celsius. Can you please look at Mara? Mara got out too early on the long of Mara for me today. And I say it with somber voice. Mara off 19 was a good trade. Mara's up 5% now and just continuing to rally. So, at this point in the day, I think you're a little bit long in the tooth to try and grab longs into what has been resistance up here at 21. And I still maintain, I said this a couple of weeks, this $23 level. Mara takes out 23, can really start to go squeezing again. Just going to double check with my trade ideas to see it's still 23% short float, at least the last update that I have here from trade ideas. That's a big short float. You got higher low since making that 15 bottom. There's the 200 period, then the 50 period, that 19 level holding really nicely. I think you're going to have a chance at a 23 break if it trends this way, but it's so far from that level. Let me go to the 15-minute for you. One of the reasons I'm not huge into the long, there's a lot of chop at this $21 level. Like in here, like 20 and a half into 21. Just a lot of nonsense back and forth. So when you get to a level like that in the afternoon, I don't like buying those tops. I'd rather be long going into a high like that than try to buy those tops. So outside of NBIO, which we just had long, might have gotten shaken out there. Shopify short, we just got the first look out in front of the 30s there, so at 1-to-1. We'll take some out. If it breaks down here, 66.15, I think we could see a bit of a VWAP retracement. So we're going to look for those shorts continuously off of this high here in Shop. I'm already back on the offer to grab that. And then this NBIO, yeah, it's already back up at 73. So it liquidity grabbed underneath here, got down to 68. I jumped out of it. Might still be, it's definitely still going on big volume. I don't know if I just take a 75 break as well and do the scalp trade the entire way. Like if it sets up a double or triple top at a big level, just take the break and then scalp it if I can get a stop order in fast enough. So I'm going to play it the same way I played the 70 break, where you take the break, just scalp a bunch out the first 5 cents, and either it goes right away. If it doesn't work right away, then I don't want it. So I'm going to have a relatively tight stop here, not even give it that half cent. So 75 incoming here on NBIO, definitely a big time runner. If it doesn't make the break and pulls back to 70, I'll just cancel this order and then wait for the next opportunity here. As it does feel like it's sliding back, I'll just give it a couple more seconds. I have it up on another level too, so we don't have to stare at it forever. But I am ready for this one if it does go. I just want to double check GME, because if that's starting to go, no, never mind. I saw someone saying Roaring Kitty tweet, and if it's the same John McEnroe one from earlier, that's an old tweet. I thought if there was a new tweet, maybe it was going, but not much movement there in GameStop. Let me just double check. I still see the latest one is that, oh no, he did do another one.
You did do another one?
Yeah, he did. I just got that.
We're $1.
NBIO did break that 75 level. Right as I told you, like the second, when I'm staring at it, it doesn't break. I put up a different level too, and it makes the break. So it broke that 75. I got 75.06. We've taken some out in front of 77. My stop is just underneath 75, and if it gets to 80, then that's the next level up. As NBIO, it was positive data phase 1, 2 on drug I can't pronounce, and it's about to do 1 billion shares worth of volume. So we're just going to keep going every 5 cents or so in this thing if it wants to keep making these clean breaks.
All right. We await Danielle Shay. We say shout out to Hydration H. I don't know if Shakib is here, so shout out Neil. You have your water too.
You know what's interesting, and this is actually not a lie. I
hope not. Yep.
No, I don't do as well drinking and finishing my water when Obi's on, and it's nothing to do with Obi.
Wow, Obi.
No, it's nothing to do with that. It's just every now and then, like I'm always drinking water. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. First thing I do when I get in the office is fill this thing up.
Yeah.
But I just noticed, like while the show is on, I always take a sip when you do, or when you say Hydration Nation. I always take a couple of sips. It just keeps my mind right.
Well, that's part of it. You can even, like you said, people have like, I don't have it set, but yeah, you can
put it on your watch. Yeah. Okay, there's that 80 level. And
hey, watch.
This is
set
ridiculous.
A water timer. Wearing the wrong one today.
Or you could just have it every.
And by the way,
30
yeah.
minutes.
Okay, first of all, Black Sheep Trades is 100% right. We don't talk about Bruno, so we will not be talking about Bruno.
Never.
So thank you, Black Sheep Trades, for bringing that
watch
there
that
in the chat. All right, so the NASDAQ's trying. I bet you Danielle Shay,
long and strong.
About we don't talk about Bruno. If you have kids there.
Never.
But I can't even now the name of the show is because it's not Luca.
Encanto.
Encanto. Yeah.
I
keep thinking Luca.
Family Madrigal.
Yes.
Because every single time I think Madrigal, it's isn't there like a Madrigal Automotive? Isn't there like an EV company or something with that name that we talk about?
There is something. There is something about that.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's Madrigal Pharmaceuticals. MDGL. That's not a penny stock. It's like $280.
We don't talk about Madrigal. Okay.
That's like a legitimate company, apparently. Well, okay. Whatever. We talk about it every now and then. This NBIO, it is doing this thing. So every 5 cents, it just did it again. So 75 to 80, and then I hold on to a piece, and then that probably is going to stop out like the 71 did. This one is going absolutely ham-ish. If it gets to $1, I'm probably thinking fade at $1 because I usually am. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's power hour now, but once we have Dan, you guys let us know. There we go. We know Danielle
GameStop
is going to have some ideas about this market, which is an absolute rocket ship. Without further ado, let's get Danielle on board.
Bring it on down.
Hi, Danielle. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, too.
I know you got to be all smiles. We've been complaining. I'm going to start right off the bat. How many times have we complained about some of these names that have been lagging a little bit, like Microsoft underneath the 50-period moving average and all that? Well, it should be all smiles today. Today is an absolute rocket ship across the board.
Well, that's why I love the 50 simple and trading tickers around that level, because if you get a breakout up above the 50 simple, that's a perfect entry point. It's a great pullback. That's what we were looking for with Microsoft. It came through, and I had a 440 price target, and we're even past that. So I'm very happy with the action that we're seeing in Microsoft and the NASDAQ overall.
You absolutely, I didn't get a chance to congratulate you, obviously, publicly. I might have done it on Twitter, but yeah, that great call on AVGO. You and I went back and forth on that. I know you had Neil on there with you during that, but what a great opportunity that was there for Broadcom. We still like the stock up here. We got that tailwind of the split, of course, that's going to be happening. You guys and Danielle, you know this better than me for sure. In the option world, when you go from 1450 to 1850 like this, that is a heck of a trade. So we say bang on that one, Miss Shay. But are we still have more room to go here? I feel like Nvidia really held base off that split. It came down, split off to 118. Now you're just ho-hum up to 132 there. Add 20 or 18, 17 bucks and change onto that name. You still like Broadcom up here? I would think it's time to trim a little bit if you're still holding on.
Man, Broadcom has been absolutely crazy. And I really enjoyed talking to Neil about this one last week, because we were talking about the fact that, when it gaps up more than twice the expected move, that's typically when it's going to keep going. And that's what occurred over earnings, right? So you take that and then you add the split. And at this point, here's the thing. It's already made my price target at 1,800. That was my next price target for this Friday. And we've surpassed that. We traded all the way up to 1,843. So typically when I surpass a price target like that, I am going to trim it. But here's the thing. It's still up 5%.
Exactly.
And it's up on high volume, and it's still going. Cool. So it's one of those where sometimes these momentum moves, yes, they go past targets, and, yes, you need to be careful with it and control your risk and everything else. But some of these moves, they just keep going, even when it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I still like the stock. And as long as that volume and momentum keeps going, you can at least just trail up a stop.
I know you and I have gone back and forth. Yeah, I think momentum is the key, and especially when you're day trading and in the options world as well. You never want to fight the trend, and the trend is your friend, and just keeps on going to the high side. So I like that. All right, I'm looking to short. I'll give everybody just an idea here. If the TQs does break below, come over to the chart quickly, Ramin, just because it may happen soon. If the market here, as we head into power hour, breaks below 77.10 or so, we'll get out of this long that we have and be able to potentially go short. So I just want to talk about that quickly. So Danielle, here's GameStop. Today we were long 27.50, able to get out a little bit. This looks like a pretty calm down stock now, to be honest with you. When you're looking at a daily chart, not too much movement, although these candles can be 10% plus in one day. Can we talk a little bit about options volatility? Are we still seeing extended premiums on this? Is it getting a little more reasonable to potentially hop in? And is the better thing, and I know it's going to be different for everybody's risk tolerances, but maybe it's time to sort of write some contracts here and capture some of that premium, because I see that it's kind of calm down a little bit. Is that something that you would ever do with a name that potentially is slowing down, or is GameStop just way too volatile?
Oh, definitely. You can write some, you can sell like a call credit spread, for example, on something like GameStop, especially when the premiums are so high. Here's the thing with GameStop is that it has everything to do with the news, right? And those news-related catalysts. And for me personally, I think those news-related catalysts are pretty much gone at this point. Right. So it all kind of started with Roaring Kitty coming back, and that was what caused this initial move higher. And then it pulled back again. And then we had another rally going into earnings, which is pretty typical for GameStop anyways. But in this case, it was also pumped up by the Roaring Kitty live stream that was occurring just before that. But here's the thing is that after they announced earnings and did it early, and then they also had the shareholders meeting, it's just, at this point, I think it's pretty frothy. So I don't want to try to trade any potential short squeeze on this one at this time. It looks to me like it's coming back down, and the volatility has dropped substantially. When we were looking at it last week and the week before, the implied volatility in the same week series was around 500%, which was just absolute insanity. Now, 200%, 180%, 167%. So it's still elevated for sure. And you can definitely sell options in the name. You would just have to decide which direction you're going to do it, obviously. So you still have premium there that you can sell. It's just a function of direction and deciding which side of the trade you want to be on.
I'll throw it back to Neil in a minute, but I'm going to ask you if there's anything on your radar right now, because you actually, and I remember you were on, probably the recap show, or maybe it was even here. And I was like, give us an idea. And then you said, well, AVGO hasn't reported yet. And yep, you were dead right. It was in the right space. It was the right name. We've talked about Palo Alto, and then bam goes CrowdStrike. So is there anything else? Some of the home builders are coming this week. They've been kind of meh about their moves. Probably nothing that you're interested in there, but if there is, go ahead. Is there anything else that maybe we should be on the lookout, either heading into this week or next week? Anything that you sort of have your eye on?
Yeah, sure. So I have 3 trades going right now. I've got Meta, Google, and Tesla. Which one do you want?
Bang, bang, bang.
Wow, which one do I want? Meta, Google? Let's go with Google. I like Google there. It seems to be, it's a little bit, I just want to go with one.
I thought you were going to say Tesla for sure.
Yeah, we can talk Tesla. I just think that right here, and the reason why, come to the chart and I'll explain why I think Google might be something that we're a little more interested in, because it's just in consolidation phase right here, Danielle. And breaking back in and around this 175, what a key level. I feel like 170, like 150, 175, 200. So right here, I'll ask you what you're thinking here about Google, because to me, I like the stock and I like what they're doing. We like the space, Gemini, all of this jazz. Tell me what you think about Google, Ms. Shay.
So with Google, you're exactly right. It has to do with the consolidation, right? And so when you're in a spot where the market's at all-time highs and you have stocks that are up 5% already, it's kind of like, yes, we can trade those names, but it is going to be a lot more aggressive. And so I typically like to have some that I'm trading that are those aggressive breakouts, but the majority of the trades I look at are going to be the ones that are consolidating like this. They're not really moving. Nobody's really looking at Google today. It's only up 0.44%. But the best thing about it is that it's in this gorgeous bullish trend. It had a breakaway gap after earnings last quarter. We're going to have another earnings report coming up in July. Google typically will see a rally going into earnings, especially if it had a breakaway gap the previous quarter. So I'm just waiting for a catalyst on Google. I think the easiest target here is going to be 180. It's only another $2.50 overhead, but trading it in the options market, you can use that high open interest and you can target that strike pretty easily. And then after that, you have 185. So, Google is one of these stocks that split and has come down in value a lot. And so it's a lot more accessible to, the majority of traders, both in the options market and with trading the stock. And I like the name. So I'm in this one right now.
It's, and again, we'll just go to Neil 1 second. I want to bring it to everyone's attention because, July 23rd. When you said like earnings are kind of coming up, I was like, nah, it's not coming up, man. It's not. We're not halfway done the year yet, are we? But there it is right there. You're right, July 23rd. And I know you like that 3 to 4 week runway, and it feels like we're in the sweet spot for that. So, all right, Danielle, that's great stuff. And I like that we were thinking alike there on that consolidation for Alphabet. Do you still call it Alphabet or Google? Like I always call it Google.
I always call it Google.
Can you do the alphabet backwards by any chance?
No, only if the
neither.
police ask me to.
The police. Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen too often. I can barely do it frontwards, to be honest with you.
I know, right? That's the problem. I think that's what they do to try to trick you. But
yeah, that's why I'm a trader, I guess. All right, so Neil, any questions for Ms. Shay?
I got to ask about Tesla now because, Obviously, Google, great stock. We love it. But Tesla's the one that's been in trouble, Danielle. So you've got the bounce out to 50 simple. I think, are we finally in a breakout, or does it actually have to do a little bit more to prove that we're out of the doldrums here? I think for a short-term trade off to 50 and all this good stuff, double bottom 167, higher lows off the trend that it's been putting on, but it still hasn't really burst through this overhead resistance at 190 and 200. And we talk about earnings being right around the corner. This actually comes before Google by a week. So we get Tesla it's exactly 1 month, I believe. Exactly 1 month away from Tesla. Is it too early to call it a comeback on Tesla? Or, have you already, well, you're in a long, so I guess you've already made up your mind.
Well, we've been trading this one in our trading room, and I think we talked about it last week. We were kind of back and forth on it, like, oh, is it going to break the 50? Is it not? And I mean, that's always going to be my signal. If it breaks the 50, it's a short, and it didn't break the 50. And in fact, it broke up above the resistance we were looking at. That resistance was between 180 and 185. So at this point, we're up above that resistance. We're holding on. We're bouncing again. We're up another 5%. So, I think there is still some pretty substantial resistance overhead at the 220 price point, but I don't see any reason why we can't at least try to trade it up into 200. So, we are already in that pre-earnings timeframe with Tesla, which I know it seems so early, but if you look at when the earnings report occurs, this line right here, that's going to highlight 21 bars prior to the report, which is generally when these stocks will start taking off and the implied volatility will start increasing. And that means that we've already been in that zone for 2 days now. So, we have that pre-earnings time frame with Tesla. I know Tesla's had a rough situation with earnings for the past couple of years, but because we did have a breakaway gap last quarter, plus the squeeze, and I think the news has shifted a little bit. I think if we can break up above here, we can at least trade it to 200, 210, and we'll have to see how it acts when it gets there.
Oh, yeah. You had me at 200 and 210 there. Now, I was going to ask you about Micron, but we can save that for another time, because I think it's more important that we get our viewer questions when they're in here. We'll be able to talk probably later in the week when you come on for the aftermarket show. I think it should still be myself, but we got a question here from Ian Rispetto. Thank you for the super chat here, Ian. Simply, can we ask you about your Meta trade, please? Which I can only imagine is doing just as well. I would say, if not even, its trend is fantastic. It was never in trouble, the stock, as much as a Tesla was. So just give us your thoughts on Meta here.
Sure. So, as I mentioned, it's kind of hard to get into too many trades when the market's up at new highs. And so today I was looking and I thought, okay, what can I trade that's almost at the new high, but it's not all the way there? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to capture that move from where it is up into that high again, right? So I was going through my scans and I found Meta, and here we have it. It's trading at 510 now. That previous high is at 531. It pulled back into the 8 EMA, really nice bounce there. If you look at the lower time frame charts, this is where I found my setup because you can see, a lot more clearly the way that it bounced and how it's trading higher on high volume. So going down to like a 30-minute chart, that's where you can see the consolidation. So we had this consolidation. It was starting to break out this morning. I went ahead and got in around 507, 508, and I'm trying to trade this up into 520. So I think that we have some more immediate resistance at 515. So we'll have to see what it does when it gets to that level, if it can get through that or not. But ultimately, my price target on this is going to be 520 first. And if it breaks through there, then onwards and upwards to 530. But I like trading those moves back up into those highs.
Well, somebody liked what you just said, because Meta, as you were speaking, just ticked. I know it's hard to see because when a stock has like a $15, $20 range, I can zoom it in there. It just briefly ticked the high of the day before pulling back. So I think you got a great entry there. The trend is your friend. We always say, why try to predict when the stock is going to bottom out? Just let it reverse and then take it for the ride into the upside. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Danielle, We have. I wanted to ask you about Micron, if only because it's one of the names that has yet to report, and it just made a fresh high today, and it's just churning. It's up 4.5%, although the list of things up 4.5% and more is a little bit of a long one here today. But they report, I believe, next week. It's such a huge and ridiculous rally because this is a stock that was in a very distinct channel for a very long time. Where it was about a $20 range, bottom to top. It just held that channel, and then since it broke out, it's just a different kind of stock. So the volatility is much higher than it usually would be in a Micron. What do you do up here with something like this? Or is this like it's in a no-fly zone until they actually print their earnings?
So, I mean, this kind of ticker, it looks great, first of all, but this is the exact kind of setup that I try to capture, 3 weeks before the earnings report. So for me, it's kind of late at this point. This is what I always tell people to look for, though. You want to look for stocks that had those previous breakaway gaps, especially if it was last quarter and the quarter before. If you have 2 breakaway gaps in a row, what that typically means is that rally going into earnings is even stronger because people look at that stock and they say, oh my gosh, what if it gaps up again 17%? And so they buy it before the report, right? And so if you look at this tool that I have right here, I mean, you can see where it starts rallying like 21 bars before that report. So for me at this point, I mean, I'm a swing trader, so it's pretty late for me to get in. If you really wanted to get in, I mean, the next most obvious target is just going to be the key psychological value at 150. So stocks like this, I mean, are typically going to come up and hit those key psychological values. So you could definitely try that. And then, because it's a momentum move, same thing like Broadcom, you would just want to continue following the trend. And then if you see a break of the low of the high bar, that's when you'd want to get out.
There you go. I appreciate that. And that's the thing, like there doesn't always have to be, a trade. Like a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, here's a stock which is trending higher. Let's just find something which is, obvious or just low hanging fruit style, or just stick to your own, which I believe you do all the time, and I really appreciate you doing that. I find I've had you've come on and I've had questions for you about Microsoft, which I would have wanted to dip by, and it's easy enough to give the answer that people want to hear, but I always appreciate you giving us the goods. Before we get you out of here, can you let everybody know where they can find you? Let everybody know where you can get that awesome merch, which I don't know if you're showing off today. It's going to be scorchers. So I don't know if it's sweater weather, but do you have any T-shirts available, or is it just the sweaters on the merch side?
Oh, I'm working on getting it all set up right now. It's going to be T-shirts, workout shirts, sweatshirts, and more, but they're not available yet, and I'll let you know when you can get them.
I want my free one. Still going to hold you to that because you did offer. Danielle.
Oh, absolutely.
We appreciate you for sure. Once again, Danielle Shay, great friend of the show, fantastic advice. But if you can, let everybody know where they can find you and how they can check you out online.
Yeah, of course. You can follow me on YouTube at Trader Danielle, and you can also follow me on X at Trader Danielle.
There you go. There you have it. Fantastic friend of the show, as always. Appreciate all the love that you're getting in the chat. So we'll look forward to talking to you later on in the week. And good luck on all of those trades. Obviously, Meta, Tesla, and Alphabet, Google. We don't really call it Alphabet. We love them. We love you, Danielle. We'll see you back later on in the week.
Thank you.
It was fun, always fun to have Danielle on there. And what I love about it is options aren't something you're going to see us trade. We're always trading straight up equity in here. So we get Danielle giving you some ideas going into earnings, during earnings, post earnings, on names that I know everybody is going to be interested in. Speaking of which, MBIO did some silly things. Went to 95 cents in there, so we started at 60, we took a 70 break, we took a 75 break, did not take the 80 break. That was probably a mistake because that one went clean out into 95, but I'm all out of it. I just realized it's 323 already, and I said I'd probably look for a short at this at $1. We have to pay for locates on this stock, unless they're literally free, which they might be. When I say literally free, it's got to be less than a fraction of 1 cent. I don't know that I'm going to bother paying for shorts for a trade that might set up or might not with only 30 minutes to go. I'm still in Shopify short, and it hasn't reloaded me, but I'm just going to cancel my offer. See how it's gliding higher? I'm going to let it work into that high and then try and catch it after it turns a little bit instead of just standing out in front of it here on Shopify. So we're still in that short. It hasn't really broken out this local top, but I want it to curl and give me an entry as opposed to just sitting on the offer as it tries to go higher with the rest of this market.
All right. We actually will just do another trade alert because we got another, hopefully, good one on. It's another decent size one here for the TQs as we did break that high back in. So just to show you guys what we were doing, we just got more long into this. So we'll still be partly into that bottom one, but we just took like basically a brand new position. I took like well more shares than we had. So now we're just into this trade. So we broke through that high, big time consolidation as we talked about there for basically an hour. Now we have the 50 period right here. So I'm going to go off that and just play it back up to the upside and see if we can be right here into the close with a potential move higher. I don't want to short anything that looks like this, and we sort of talked about that. So I'm happy to trade it this way. Let's just continue to go long. There we go. We got some more out at 59 and at 60 if it goes one more time. I'm just going to take, like right now we're in the money 10 cents. It's only gone 10 cents. And look where this high is right here, 70s. So now we'll wait on this now. We just got out, honestly, of a third of it for that 10 cents. Like I said, trying to trade bigger shares and try to see if this can go. So we'll get out of a third, and now we'll wait for the high and see if we can get out something else up there, which I am waiting at 68 for 10% now. And then we'll try to hold it. And we said that already. Whether we're talking with Adrian, whether we're talking with Chef Joe there in the chat, or any of you, it's like, especially when it's 3:30 right now, we don't have very big. We have Lazy Boy, which is not going to do anything. Lennar tonight. There's very, very few earnings coming through. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we do take advantage of this late little rally up and see if we can break that high. And I just want to be here if we do break the high, because I think that'll be a great trade. So I feel now we've done the math and willing to lose on this trade back to the 50 period moving average. So just like before when we were riding this 50 all the way up, let's see if we can start to do it again on, again, a hold and then a break. But if you're in this for the long haul, which some of you may be, and saying, you know, maybe my time frame is too short, then you can basically wait for this break of 77.10, whatever this bottom is, and just say the range isn't broken until then. But like I said, for me and the amount of shares that I have on, for my risk tolerance, I feel appropriate to break out through this level if we get stopped. So that's it. You guys like the palm trees here? We have a different palm tree shirt. This is kind of an older shirt, but I saw in there.
I like that, yeah.
You know what? It's very light.
I like that shirt. You have to.
I don't know if it's linen or what, but I told Marissa, I was like, I need to get more of this because
I wore linen last week, which is silly because this week is ridiculously hot.
Yeah.
This is when you got to bring it out. When it's 40 degrees with the humidity.
Yeah. I was walking around outside. It's not my phone.
No, not yet.
Yeah, but no, but still.
It's going to get there.
Still spicy out there. I actually told the team we practiced tonight, and I was like, we're just going to do sliding drills and bring lots of water, and maybe we'll do a scrimmage and all that. I don't want to tell them that. I'm not going to cut the practice a half hour. It's 2 hours if it's a half hour short. We already got emailed the Little League rules with as far as heat is concerned, because anyways, as a coach, you have to be like certified CPR and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you gotta be.
All good. And the big thing about it is, I know you're just getting into coaching now. As you get to notice kids, I know you are too, you get to feel like they're acting a little different, or, you know, and you just got to make sure that you tell the kids, hey, look, if you don't want to be there in the outfield and you're kind of feeling kind of ways, or wherever you are, let us know, because at the end of the day, it's a game and we don't want to risk any. There's
one kid who, like, every time he plays, if he gets... Everyone has to play the outfield. You can't play the same position twice in the same game. It's a whole at that age, because it's a T-ball essentially, and a little bit of mix, T-ball, some coach pitch, or what I'm doing. And there's this one kid, if you put him in the outfield, he all of a sudden needs a lot of water breaks when he's in the outfield.
Yeah, man,
he's there at shoes. He's never thirsty when you put him at catcher. He loves playing catcher, but you just can't play catcher. I mean, my daughter wants to catch. There's like 3 or 4 kids that always want to catch, and we only get 4 innings in. I'm like, at best, you're gonna get one inning. I just wanted to get to Super Chat because thank you guys so much. I feel like we've gotten a bunch of these today. I want to make sure we're covering all of them. Adham there. Appreciate the Super Chat. Good afternoon to my 2 favorite traders. Tell my friends watching how predictable Square 62 to 82 range is. Love the show and following your trades. So the bad news for Square, and I know I've seen this chart because we were just talking about the payment names and how not good some of these have been. So the bad news for Square is that it's even here in the first place, but this has been a really good level. Now it's bounced off of this several times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times it's bounced off 62. The last one didn't get to $82 though. Like it just bounced and went $4 and it's right back at that low. It's a little bit different. It was holding, when it was here before, it was holding the 200 period moving average and it was kind of trending with the market. Now Square is at that 62 level under the 200 period moving average. When the market's making highs, it's struggling a little bit. So I'm not bullish on this until it gets back above the 200 period. I don't like just that level where it was before for bounce plays. And I do own some Square in my long-term account. I haven't bought it in a very long time and I'm questioning how much I want to be in it if it loses $60 here. But yeah, it's a great level. I think when you have levels like that, and if it comes back, makes a higher low, can be absolutely fantastic. But it's been under pressure, just kind of like all of these payment names. Like PayPal, obviously PayPal's worse, but Square not having a good day at all. This Affirm. I guess I should have been short Affirm. I said $32. It went to $31.70 on that news, and then it just kind of stopped. Went all the way back to where it started from. It's trending back up, but that has come and gone. The opportunity is gone. And that MBIO I didn't pay for locates, they ended up being 4 cents per share. That said, it did make a nice turn off the dollar level, but on a stock like that, like if you're going to scalp, which I probably would have scalped 98 or 99 short to $1, if your risk goes from 2 or 3 cents that you're looking to risk on a dollar level trade to paying 4 cents a share to do it, that's double what you were intending on risking in the trade just to pay for the locates. That I wouldn't do. Like that's too much. I'm surprised. It's done 1 billion shares. I'm surprised it wasn't a little bit cheaper. I promise you tomorrow, after 1 billion shares done, they'll be free or 1/8 of 1 cent for sure.
All right, I want to talk just a little bit here, just real quickly. Thank you so much, Pro Day Trader, about the podcast talk there. He said the podcast is straight fire, so we do appreciate that, and we're going to be filming a couple more right now this week, so make sure you guys definitely check that out. And again, Freedom and Wealth podcast, completely different than some of the, we got a couple of subscribers today too. Thank you so much for checking it out. The most recent one here is Escape the Rat Race. Couple good views happening, and just go double check it out. Find out what we're talking about, a little different content to what we're doing now, but at the same time, still attracting you guys over there. It's a different kind of format. Brendan and I just sort of spitballing about some ideas and some of the stuff that's being talked about, not just over social media, but some of the ideas for investing or like we just said. And the cool part about what we did last time was Randy and I went over to Tim Hortons, and the guy in there who we know was saying, hey man, I listened to your podcast and really relating to it. So this show right here that we do now, you just saw we had professional traders on, Danielle Shay and many other guests that come through, companies and all that for investing. But there's so much more to everything, and part of it is managing your money and trying to find alternative solutions to, potentially making some money. Is like, real estate hack is a simple one. If you can't afford a house, sometimes people are buying houses, of course, that have rental units in it, but then you got to become, and I actually talked about this last week with one of the guys at the hockey. We'll throw to Adair in a minute. He just sold his house, and he didn't sell his house, sorry. He bought a new house, was lucky enough not to need the capital from his current house, so that's already quite a nice opportunity to be in. Yeah. But then he and I were discussing the opportunity for him to rent out his current place and then grab the payments on that to pay for his new place, meanwhile still holding the investment of the current house. But then again, you got to talk about property taxes and all this kind of stuff.
There's a lot to go into.
So there's a lot to go into maintenance, and do you actually want to be sort of that super that having to go over there and fixing whatever happens? But there's management companies.
I will admit, when I had an opportunity when I sold our condo before we bought our house to keep it, and actually there was a guy on my baseball team was like, if you decide to, and I know the guy, good job, solid job, whatever, bachelor, and I would have had him as a tenant. My wife and I discussed it. I don't want to say she talked me out of it, but I feel like I hadn't done enough work on the pros to have like a legitimate conversation when she was against it. And I look back and it was a horrible decision. If I had spent a little bit more time getting confident with, hey, we could do this, we'd have been better off for it. But it is what it is. And that's why you do the podcast, so that people can, maybe when they get that opportunity, you've done that legwork because you thought about it and you've had it in the back of your mind. But let's get over to Adara at the green screen.
Some interesting names here making some larger moves on the day. Some of these are going to be ones we have talked about. We're going to get a little bit more into the catalyst for some of these moves. That's going to include Micron here. This one, of course, very strong on the day. MU reporting earnings next Wednesday after the bell. Getting price target increases ahead of those earnings from both BofA Securities and Cantor Fitzgerald. This one's up over 60% on the year so far, so great look for MU. Tesla up next. Of course, we have talked about Tesla throughout the day, but this one very strong on the day, up more than 5%. Some traders circulating on X that the Tesla Model 3 long range is going to officially be qualifying for the entire federal EV credit in the US. It's going to be $7,500, so nice look for TSLA. On that excitement there to the upside. Last but not least here, we do have GE up more than 5%. Couple different things to note here. Major catalyst is that this one had some speculation that Business Daily's swing trader has purchased the stock. Also worth noting here, Wall Street Journal reporting that the GE CEO, Larry Culp, was approached to take over Boeing and then said that he did not want to take over Boeing. So interesting report here coming from Wall Street Journal. Apparently Boeing having some issues finding its CEO, but regardless, GE pretty strong here today. GE Aerospace up more than 5%. So interesting names making moves here, guys.
I like GE. I like GE Aerospace.
It's interesting they renamed that, right? It used to just be General Electric, and now
General GE Verona is one of them, and then
the healthcare one.
The healthcare, the aerospace, all great. The only mistake I made was there was a moment where I was going to sell Boeing and put that into GE, which of course during the spinoff would have mean owning more GE Aerospace. Did not do it. I like Embraer. I'm waiting for that to pull back in as an alternative to Boeing, and they're a Brazilian company, and they're looking to get a slice of the pie. And I ask myself, like, how long can these issues go on with Boeing before, like, potentially you get somebody else that maybe steps into it? Embraer. I'm not in the stock, but I'm just looking for a good spot. I'm just kind of reading up on it because I think it's a decent shot play, and I'm not in it just yet. I did go back into Shopify here. The high is still the same triple top here at 66.80. We'll see if it breaks out that high. It's 336. I wanted to make sure we got you. There's nothing here on the early look imbalances, but SU 3.2 million to sell. Keep in mind, at the end of this week, you're going to see some big numbers on Friday, and you might, leading into the semi-annual rebalances, you might see some names going into it that every single day might show up a little bigger than normal and then are really big on Friday. So I'm anticipating you will see bigger imbalances pretty much every single day this week. Throw in the fact that you only have the 4 trading days this week going into an index rebalance. I can't think of a time. I actually don't remember if this was the case last year, but Juneteenth is a new holiday for the markets. So the notion of having one less trading day during a semi-annual rebalance and a triple witching is somewhat of a new thing. And there might be some opportunities at the close where there has to be more shares done days before going into it. So I'll be out of this if we make a fresh high in Shopify. Don't know if we're going to find another trade in that MBIO. I think you really just needed to be short this when it failed underneath the dollar. This could be a good one tomorrow. If it does another billion shares and takes out a buck, I mean, who knows with these things? It's just a day one play for now.
So I'm just refreshing my orders because I don't have, obviously I don't have Shopify now. I was looking to break, and I just want to make sure that I still have this trade on, or I don't, or whatever the story is. I still like kind of a break of that top for Shopify here at 66.80. So I didn't get involved, but that kind of a top break might be something here for Shopify. So the TQs, we got some out there at 40 when it broke. Oh, here, sorry about that. I'm still on Shopify. Anyways, I still have that order in. I mean, if Shopify wants to go, but now it's 338. All right, you know what? I'm going to cancel that. I still feel like it could still go, but it doesn't matter what I think. I mean, the market is going to be its own thing. So we'll cancel it because we now have imbalances coming in 10 minutes. So that's going to affect the outcome here of the market, so of an individual stocks. So we will wait on that one. Auto cancel off. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we'll cancel that trade. If it happens, it happens. I won't be in it, so that will be that one. All right, the next little play here that I wanted to go over quickly was the TQs. We talked, well, GameStop is still moving around, so I actually don't mind that play for a minute there either. But TQs, we're in it again. It's at the 50-period moving average. There is a stop there, but it's a nice move back higher. So for right now, let's see if it can go. I want to be in it until we break this 30 level, so we'll give this a little bit more room. again, with these imbalances coming through, I don't want to be too stubborn about it. We don't have NASDAQ names right now, so it's kind of just mixed. Suncor, I mean, we don't really care about that. Occidental,
I feel
maybe
like
we
Apple's
had
gonna
Warren
have an
Buffett buy a
imbalance.
little bit more.
That's-
Nvidia's from the morning still, so there's no imbalance there. So we'll have to wait for it, but let's see if the TQs wants to sort of just cruise a little bit higher here.
I should. Like it's so weird. I was just talking about that Ember. I could be talking myself into just picking up some of this. Like today, I should even be thinking about it. Well, I mean, when I first thought about this, I'm just waxing poetically out loud here. Like I said, if Shopify breaks that high, I got to jump out of it. I don't know if I'd reverse along this late because the imbalances are coming out. But when I first thought about this, was 10% lower. When it first bounced off the 50-period moving average, then it made fresh highs, and now it's bouncing again off the 50 there. So if you like something, I might just go ahead. And I'm probably like the whole idea is to be in this for a long time. ERJ. By the way, its primary listing is in Brazil. So like this is just it over on the New York. But primary listing is going to be in Brazil, just double checking. Yeah, they don't report until August again. So you have plenty of time till their next report. And really, if you had just, hindsight's 2020, but all the whine, I call it whinging and whining because I tell my daughter stop whinging and whining. All the whinging and whining over Boeing, if at any point on all those Boeing dips, when Boeing started to turn relatively weak, you pick this name up, it was on a weekly chart, like this is it. Late last year, and if you go to the beginning of this year, this is February, it's been an absolute rocket ship. Every time Boeing looks bad, this looks really good. So I'm likely to try to get into a starter position on it. Just double checking out what's going on here in Tesla. I guess as strong as Tesla is, it never really wanted that 190. The good news about that is you get 190 potentially tomorrow. So a double top here at 189 bucks. There was never a VWAP retracement trade to be had. Yeah, I think you could really be setting up for another leg here if Tesla just wants to break that 190 level. Good level there on the daily chart. I might just take some of this Shopify before we even get to the imbalances. Like I'm now sitting here, it's like, well, I could just get out flat. If it's not gonna move and it's not gonna give you the retracement, I might just get it out flat before it breaks this top as we're getting close to 350. Market is almost at those highs, but pulling back just a little bit here. And I would rather Shop be pulling back with it as we go to Adara.
It's Tesla on watch here, actually, TSLA. Elon Musk putting on X story, quote, working on the Tesla master plan 4, it will be epic. Several Tesla and stock accounts reposting this. So I guess master plan 3 came out next year. Apparently last year, Elon Musk apparently currently in the process of working on TSLA master plan 4. So keep an eye on this one, guys.
Thinking master plan.
Optimists and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I have no idea what that plan was last year for me to comment on it for this year. So
My dad's all mad that he won't get to have he's like, oh, I don't know, I'm not gonna see that robot. I'm like, you don't believe like Elon will get it ready for you in time? He's like, no. I'm like, no.
that's a negative attitude.
No, it's about he's not like the thing about it is my dad's an engineer, and so he likes Elon, but Elon is a very big set an aggressive target for something and then doesn't always necessarily meet them from a time basis. That was just him being skeptical. He always laughs about like
no, I mean,
Elon's
he's being negative on his own health. Is what I'm saying.
No.
Your dad.
No. He wasn't going down that road. It was more along the lines of if Elon says something's coming in 2 years, he's like it's coming in 5 to 10.
Right, but doesn't your dad's
And he
going
was
to
just
live much longer than 5 to 10 years from now.
I'd like to hope he would, but he was more just joking about it. Because
Yeah,
my dad's the kind of person when something really, really cool comes, he wants to buy it right away.
Of course.
So I know him. Like Brendan wants that Optimus robot right away. I don't. I want other people to have it first. Then I can see how it is, chill out, go to their house. Do you like it or not? And then I'll decide whether I want it. But my pops is entirely the other way. He wants that cool gadget whenever he gets the chance. So we still have 5 or 6 minutes till the imbalances come out here. Apple's pulling back pretty decently, though. Like, this is almost in the V. You know what? If Apple does a dip into VWAP, if there's a buy imbalance, this should be a good bouncing spot for Apple here. If it comes out as a buy, you almost get like a free roll if it gets a little bit closer to 216.5. Like if it's a level you'd buy anyways, give it 25 cents worth of risk, tight stop. If it comes out of buy imbalance, just go into the long here on Apple. So I think this could be worth it. It'll be the one that I'm interested in Apple. At least it's at a level where if it bounces, it's got plenty of room. B, it's a strong stock. C, it's had an imbalance of over 1 million shares, I think, every single day for the last couple of weeks. So there could be that catalyst at 350. And I just look for some kind of a mean reversion trade here. Got to get to VWAP first.
25.30. All right. 344, 25. Let's just put $1 on our name, okay? I mean, if this breaks back down below, let's just get out for GameStop. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here into the close. And quite frankly, I only have 20% of the trade on for GameStop left, and we are bouncing off of $26. It's happening right now. So long story short, if we break below, it's bouncing its head off resistance. So if we break below support, let's just get out. And that support right here would be the 200 and the 50, which is right here at 25.50. We'll give it a little bit of love and hold on for a little bit more. But right now it is $1.50 in the money. GameStop, it's not going to be a top stock well, it will be actually. It'll be up there today for us, as we'll be positive on GameStop, as we've been now playing with house money and trading with house money for a very long time. That little dip by opportunity there when volume really started to pick up as the conference call was going on. So that gave us a lot of good opportunities to find levels with volume. So that was that. And there it is. We will slap the last little bit of a fail. And I should have just continued to think about going short on the futures instead of just trying to fight some longs. But again, all of this has been fine. Looking at the net, it looks like we will just in the last this break and then messing around right here. Looks like we'll give back maybe 10% sort of where we were once we had this bigger move to the long side where we punched along here. Every time you see purple, it's shorts. So we were shorting TQQs early, and all these green marks are below until eventually it broke higher. Then we went long, and then the red marks are me getting out of longs. And right now, I'm just, again, in maturation of trade, we don't need to just sit here and just keep going back and forth, even though I still would favor the long. It looks like the short's going to be right, and we talked about going short right about now if it breaks, but not enough time left, 3:46 to go, so we'll wait on that one. We just talked about GME. Nvidia's not doing anything, and then, the king of the castle, Apple, right now has pulled off of a bunch of highs, that were right there. So again, looks to be a pretty easy short right there at 218, 219. But again, the market, I was looking long, and it's trying to fade out. So not a good combination to be long Apple, short the market, but it looks like right there, short Apple was right. It's more aggressively pulling back than the market is right now. So good little levels there. The all-time high for Apple, obviously, I think was made on Thursday, and that was 220.20. So we became within a whisper of that as well. Isn't that funny? 220.20. So some nice little numbers right there, as my daughter's hockey number is number 20.
Who's the famous 20? That's outside.
I don't know. She has it for outside of her. I don't know. But Sarah Nurse is 20. That's why she.
Oh well, you could have just said Sarah Nurse. Then.
Yeah, she's not super famous, but she's famous.
Well, in Canada, she's a huge star.
Yeah, huge star. Yeah, her brother Darnell, our cousin, is playing for the Oilers, who won 8-1.
That's insane.
You want to talk about both? It's just so funny how sports works, because Boston just hands Dallas the win there so they could win at home. And then the same thing happened in Edmonton, where Florida handed Edmonton the win so they could win at home.
The league wants an extra game, a little more revenue out of it. Sometimes I feel the other thing that does happen, though, this is real. Like when a game like that gets out of hand a little bit, like your starters are going to rest knowing, hey, are we gonna risk this injury or go over the top when you're going home? It's better to be rested and just take care of business.
Right.
Like Dallas is good enough to not blow a gigantic lead when they're at home in a situation like that. But for someone who all playoffs long, like I think Boston was the best team in the East all year long. And then after watching some Dallas in the playoffs, I was like, ooh, let's think that Dallas is going to win it all. I really thought they had a chance the way they were coached. They did a fantastic coaching job. And they were just so prepared. But at the end of the day, Boston's probably going to take it no problem. Tatum's going to get his ring. And, good for them. Not that he's going to be the MVP. Brown's been sensational.
Yeah, it could be J. Rue Holiday.
That was the other one. A friend of ours is J. Rue Holiday a Hall of Famer if he gets a ring? I'm like, slow your roll, man. I know that's great, but he's not a Hall of Famer. I said I would take some out flat if I got the opportunity on Shopify. It just came down and filled me at 57. My average price was 58,
that short
so I
was
took
good.
some out. It's obviously just not doing much. We have 1 minute till the imbalances come out here. When they do, not expecting, but kind of looking to see if Apple's going to have a big one. It's at VWAP as we speak. So the play would be, if it comes out a buy, try to be fast enough. But, you know, that's the play. Like, if you get it, you get it. And if the algos are faster than you, then so be it. But it's trying to bounce off of VWAP here as the imbalances are about to drop in less than 1 minute.
All right. Pretty good day here today. It'll be a good one for me. Little meh here in the afternoon. It looks like we were completely right, so we'll sort of slap a face slapper on that one because, you know, initially when we started here, we were looking for the short retracement in the TQ. So those of you that took that side instead of the long was right. But again, this is the ability just to get out when you're wrong and see you later. Get out of that one. But I still think, again, heading into the close, great day for the NASDAQ, up 1.4%. Join me on the recap show. We'll have Michael Nos coming through just right after this. And then it'll be good, and then I'll try to hustle. We have practice at 6. I should be able to make it home for that. If not, we've got other coaches. Okay, here we go. Here comes the imbalances right now. So let's see what winds up happening. And again, look at the NASDAQ going back down to the downside as Nvidia does have a big sell imbalance on it. Let's just try to go Nvidia short right now then on that sell imbalance and see as it's coming back in. We'll take a 68 fill if we can get it. There it goes. So far, so good here. Nice little trade for us on Nvidia. Face slap that one out. Could still go against us, man, once this pairs off, but big imbalance. We just took advantage of it right there. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. We see that imbalance, we punch short, and the rest is history right there. 20 cents in the money now on that Nvidia. Could still blow up, but that's how you trade the imbalances.
Yeah, and I'll take advantage of the fact that this all came out to sell. I'm just going to get out of Shopify as it just got into support levels. But it was $5 million to sell on Nvidia, $1.3 million to sell on Apple. I was only punching Apple long if it was a buy imbalance, by the way. That should be obvious. I saw Amazon a second ago. It was $700,000 or $800,000 to sell. I don't see it anymore. Down to $670,000, already starting to pair off. The big one, obviously, it's just an Nvidia and Apple story here, the two big ones to the sell side. I just punched out of Shopify, got that same support level, got put in there. So $5 million to the sell side. Remember we talked about there's only one way to weight a stock, to re-weight a stock that's gone up as much as Nvidia. You're not adding to the weighting on Friday. It's going to be weighted down a little bit here. At 355, expect that to pair off here on Nvidia. I would have played off 132, but I don't think you're going to get a chance here. At 355, if it does pair off, you might see a little bit of a bounce, but it's been trend down before. I'm probably just going to take a shot in front of 132 if it gives that even trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's in front of 132 now. We're short right now, 131.83. We just took out about 60% of it in the 60s right there. We're just going to hold it for a 132 break. If it breaks higher, it breaks higher. That'll be all good. I'm completely fine with this. I mean, I don't even know where GameStop was on this board. I actually have to cancel my bids now. It doesn't look like that will be coming through. Just quickly to look at the imbalances one more time to see if there was anything on GameStop. So no, but we are already capturing $1. So if this breaks too much more, my stop is right here at 29. So you'll see a market order come through, and we'll get stopped out there on GameStop. But stop out is a very fun word to say because we are by far not getting stopped out, as GameStop right now is $1 in the money, and it's stopping us out of this trade, but it's a profitable trade, and you got to take profit where profit lies. We talk about that, and if it's going to hit, then it's going to hit. Man, were we right on this one, so we'll props it up for it, but we're only right in words, not in actions, because we try to defend the long, but there was the break. Should have stuck with that. So far, so good on there, but yeah, not really traded. Not traded to perfection. We knew that we had the 50 period there, was hovering. Once we broke higher, we took the long break instead of the short break. So looks like the short one would have just been a little more money. But, you know, I mean, we're in this game to make money. So that's why I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Let me bid 131.50 here on AMD on Nvidia, because why the hell not? There's another 30 cents as the cash register remains open into the closing of the day. So cash register open, we're hitting it, and the funds are just pouring through. So that's a good one there on Nvidia. And again, just due to the imbalances, got to be quick on the keys. And we saw it. It was $5 million. I just went over to Nvidia, bang, short, price irrelevant. And yeah, pay dirt right there on Nvidia, just adding to what we were already up on the day for Nvidia.
Yeah, for me, the price is always going to matter in a situation like that, as long as there's a level. I mean, VWAP was right there as well. But Apple just doubled the imbalance a second ago. So now 2.8 million to the sell side on Apple. Much like everything else, you're going to get a lot of sell imbalances, it seems like, this week. Amazon was 600,000. It's up to 900,000. So that SPY 1.7 billion to the sell side, that's when these came out. And the NASDAQ was 868 million to the sell side. Nvidia has grown since then. Apple has doubled since then. Amazon's gotten bigger since then. So whatever the imbalance is, it's bigger than it was before going into this close. So if you're hanging on to those shorts, certainly they're all growing into the upside. Speaking of Apple, this is why you can have a plan of action, but you would participate, don't anticipate. If it came out of buy and balance, I was looking for the bid off of VWAP there, but it didn't come out of buy, so we didn't buy it. Now you're absolutely flushing to the downside, as it's still a strong day overall, but when Apple does that, the NASDAQ's starting to give a little bit up. Still up 1.3%, but really starting to give it back in here as everything is coming back in. Apple's move is like $3 off that bottom. Nvidia trying to pair off. 355, you're probably going to see this pair, so I'm going to be ready if it does pair off just to quickly punch out. Yeah, there's 74s. I'm taking that. So it just went from 6.5 to 2.4. When that happens, I'm anticipating it probably goes all the way down to zero pretty quickly. That's what the imbalances are there for. They're so people can kind of offset it and not have too much crazy price action at the close. So if there's some big sellers, you can go in there and take the other side of the trade. So I'll jump out. I did see Apple. That also looks like it paired off. It was a couple of million shares to the sell side. I don't see it anymore. So Apple, 500,000, paired off 2.2 million of it. Amazon stuck around a little bit, but you're getting a bit of a pair event here at the end of the day. With only 4 minutes to go, the market's starting to really give it back, unfortunately. And it's not just those names. I know we talk about the names that had the big imbalances, but dragged down with it. Google pulls right back to a key level here at 177 at the end of the day on those sell imbalances. Not specifically Google with a sell imbalance. Microsoft pulls back into support. So a bunch of these big cap names, whether they're on the locator or not, are heading back into said downside. Tesla, Tesla's a little bit special today. So it's dipped, but Tesla stronger relative to these other big cap tech names, which makes some sense. It's been under a lot more pressure. ICI, 22 MB. I don't want us to have another flash crash. Market needs a flash crash. I'm going to go, as somebody who was there when the flash crash happened, I was sitting at my trading screen and thankfully did not get rinsed. Yeah, you don't want a flash crash again. When that flash crash happened, it was if you weren't sitting there watching stocks, it was one of the more ridiculous.
Crashy.
Yeah, it was one of the more ridiculous things out there, and every ounce of you was like, "Oh my goodness, something." Like you thought something really bad had to be happening to explain the price action, and I remember thinking, did a bomb go off or something? Something horrible seemed like it had to be going on. You don't want that. You just want regular price action. You want regular trading. Down moves are good. Flash crash like the one that we had years ago. Yeah, that's not something you want again.
And no, you definitely don't want any of that. We just set up for the afternoon show, so get ready for that as we'll slap out another winner right here. As there goes Nvidia, and like we said, man, we were taking that as soon as we saw the imbalance, and it was a good trade, it looks like anyways. As there it goes right now. Can we put $1 back on our name here to end the day? We will finish. All I have to do is push bid enter, and we will be at the high of the day. It'll be another day here where we've been, again, just extremely sort of feeling, again, just lucky to be here. Thank you for watching us. And I mean, I just hope that all these trades today, we're able to be profitable for you, and no matter what your style is and no matter who you trade with or anything like that, I hope it was all good. Look at that TQQ short. Wow. All right, I'm just going to put a bid out. I got to get over to the desk here, and we'll watch out for Lennar and Lazy Boy and a bunch of other stuff like that as we go. 131.06. Let's just put that rate in here right now, ahead of 131. I mean, the trade speaks for itself right here. It's Nvidia. We will have a negative. I mean, we talked about Tesla and how we traded that there today. We may or may not talk more about that on the recap show where we have Michael Nos, and we'll talk some more ideas about that. I'm going to talk to him about the crypto chart and how that looks now, if he still likes it and what that looks like there. But there's Tesla, nice top at 189er. So, yeah, that's it for me. We will have Adara ringing the bell in just a couple minutes, and I'll see you on the other side right now. And
Special guest Michael Nos
yes,
today
special guest Michael Nos
with Adara.
Followed by not too many earnings.
That doesn't matter. That just means that there's great trades to go over. You had the big imbalances going into this week, which we can expect to see more. Like if Nvidia comes out 5 million today, what's it going to come out tomorrow? What's it going to come out on Thursday? What's it going to come out on Friday?
Yeah.
All those opportunities. So with less than 1 minute to go, there was a quick question someone asked me, like, what was my trading like on that flash crash? Essentially, I almost traded nothing. Like the best plays were to take really big shots long on the things that got destroyed the most, which incidentally wasn't where my head was at. I took a couple of longs, but on things that hadn't really moved down as much and were a little bit safer. Like things that moved that I felt shouldn't have, that were very stable kind of stocks. When they caught a bid, I went into those because ultimately didn't know what was going on at that time. And when you don't know what's going on sometimes, and things were crazy. Central went to 0. It was insane. But let's get the bell going. We've got Adara to start this holiday shortened week off. Let's ring it in 3, 2, and 1. And there it is. We've got day 1 of 4 this week in the books. Remember, it is Juneteenth, so you are going to have a holiday shortened week. End of the week, we have triple witching. We have S&P rebalancing. We're going to have CrowdStrike, KKR, and why am I always? It's GoDaddy going into the S&P 500. I always forget GoDaddy. It's not that they don't matter, but the other two probably going to be a little bit bigger. Big moves today. The NASDAQ ending up at 1.25%. The ES just shy of 1%. Tesla, one of the big winners, almost 5%. Oh, sorry, just over 5% to the upside, reversing a huge trend that had last week, where it was, ended the week as one of the weakest names out of the big cap tech, and then Tesla doing a great job the rest of this day. Should have been in the long, but we learned a lot about Tesla today. It was a lesson of the day for me because we knew we should have been with the trend, and all we could do was get out of the wave, and that's the best sometimes you can do. Big shout out to Ramin on the ones and twos by herself today. You couldn't even tell, but Ramin on the ones and twos by herself, doing a fantastic job as always. Want to shout out to Adara and Sharif on the midday, and doing a great job giving you that lesson every single day, a new lesson, which is fantastic. And shout out to Obi for stepping in for Sean. Sean being back on the desk means you know exactly where you're headed and what is going to be up today. We've got Michael Nos, a special guest. You've got light on earnings, but lots of fantastic trades to review. That much is sure. So let's start the week on right. You've got the market recap show about nowish.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, thank you, Neil, for that. And we're back over here on the Market Recap Show. It's a nice Monday. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Good day. I mean, when the markets rally the way they did, and then we had some of the trades that we had, I mean, it's nothing but love for the tech sector here today.
Oh, yeah.
What was your best stock today?
My best stock, like P&L wise, was Tesla, but it's a little bit, unfortunately, I did give up some of the gains on it. Nvidia was the stock I felt the best about. I didn't necessarily play the most to the best of my ability, but I had the levels right every single time on Nvidia, and I was actually able to make up like more than half the losses I had a little bit earlier on it. So please just punch slightly down on the day, but ready to go tomorrow.
I mean, yet another new all-time high today. I mean, we started to go upside there. I don't even know if my Stream Deck is loaded, so I'll put that up right now. But hey, welcome to the whoopsies. Oh no, Stream Deck definitely screwed this up. Oh no, I don't have the right thing on now. Hold on a second. Just give me a second. Give me never gets. There we go. All right, now we're back. All right, quickly. USO today, nice move upside. Let's go over some of the different names here that rallied today. I mean, we just talked about the NASDAQ. Do I have a daily chart on here? 1, 2, 3, sold. All right, let's go over right now to the QQQs and check out what the NASDAQ did. I mean, come on. This just looks genius one more time again here today. 488. I cannot believe that we're going to be talking about the NASDAQ over 20,000, which it hit today and closes well above that. Yeah, make sure you check out that Freeman Wealth podcast there, of course. But as the Qs, like $500 on the Qs for those of you that have been trading that. Wow. And we had Danielle Shay on, and it was just like, what's stopping this freight train from the upside? I don't think anything. We have earnings coming, and it was shocking to me. Month today is Tesla. 5 weeks today is Google, 5 weeks today is Meta, and it just keeps on coming through. I mean, I mean, Adara, you know this because you're here now. How fast does time fly when you're trading? It's like all of a sudden we're right back to earnings season again.
Literally, yeah. I was getting ready for the week ahead for next week, and Levi is reporting.
Yeah,
next
and
week,
you remember
which is crazy,
that, yeah.
I remember when you were messaging me like a while ago, like, oh, what are the Levi earnings going to be? That feels like it was ages ago, and yet apparently it was not. Now we have a whole new thing happening here.
Good. Yeah. We definitely like that. And today, it's funny because USO with a nice upside move, and we talked about oil, right? We talked about oil coming in, hitting the $70 bottom, and then a nice move right back up to the upside, $78. So USO, good name there, good move today, as opposed to UNG. UNG ran into the 200 period. It already had its run, so a nice pullback. But here right now in lovely Ontario, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, there's an Ontario in California. Did you know that?
I did actually know that.
Yeah.
It's also like a Miami and I think it's Ohio.
Miami of Ohio, yes.
Yeah, there's different. There's
I know that
Miamis
from
too.
college sports.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's
how I know that
tracks.
one. But good one there. Okay, yeah, and I was just going to say, 40 degrees here, trying to be that later on today and into the week, and that's 105 Fahrenheit. So when I look down here and I see UNG, it's like, man, get this figured out where we can use better energy source for power, right? Like Air Canada, air conditioners and whatnot getting turned on, and Air Canada, nice flat. We can look up Air Canada AC in Toronto market.
Why not?
But anyways, talk about AC. Air conditioning is what everybody's thinking about right now. And if your air conditioning is broken, that's an expensive time to call someone, as they're going to be on call all over the Northeast. I mean, I saw yesterday there in Torrey Pines. Obviously, you were watching the U.S. Open.
No.
Yeah, I knew that. Anyways, yes, shout out to Bryson DeChambeau, and he took that win out there yesterday, his second U.S. Open win, and I'm kind of liking that guy a little bit more now. He plays to the crowd. I like Bryson DeChambeau. He left. He took the Saudi money and went to live for $150, $200 million, but all of the majors are not PGA sanctioned events.
I did hear that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can come back and play those events. And so,
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Scheffler didn't do too well, but Scheffler is the man. Anyways, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Not too many red things today. I mean, gold pulling back. Look, as the NASDAQ continues to make new highs every day in the S&P 500, what is the point of sitting in gold? I might just straight up ask Michael Nos that question right now. Gold had a monster move up. This move is not normal for gold when you're moving, and we all know this, right? 187 up to 220 in a matter of 2 months. That's gold has outperformed inflation over the last inflation over the last 70 years, or it's like kind of just towing the line there. So maybe if you don't believe in the world currency or US dollar, or what is the world currency, I guess maybe that is gold, then flight to safety could be for gold, but right now, the flight to safety appears to be the NASDAQ as money just keeps pouring into some of those names. I thought KRE would be under a problem for a minute. What did KRE do today? Oh, up 1.69%. Okay, so, as some commercial real estate continues to be a problem, a lot of regional banks will flock into commercial real estate because it's a good opportunity for them to get sort of that VIG on that. But at the end of the day, KRE trying to hold near these bottoms, $45. Bears vs. Bulls has let me know that there are some issues with the chat. I was going to say put some questions for Michael in there if you did have any on it. And I know I can see Michael right now is in the green room. I am going to ask you, Michael, about gold and what you think about maybe this recent pullback. So if you did have any thoughts on that or wanted to put a chart, no, I got that, it's fine. Get a chart together for that. You know how long it takes Michael to put a chart together? I mean, he even said to us today on the early show, he said, "Oh yeah, what self-respecting chart nerd?" And this is from his words. I'm not, would not look at 200 charts over a weekend or something like that.
Yeah, why not?
So so I figure he probably already looked at gold, and I'd almost bet everything that he has. And so we'll talk to him about that and why I said that about the chat. If there were any questions that you did have, try to get them in there if I see something that potentially is interesting enough to cover, and I get to it, we'll do that. But you and I have some ideas for Michael to come through anyways. So, all right, let's just look right now quickly at some stocks before we call on Michael. I don't want to keep him waiting for too long, but get my mug out of here and let's just show this screen quickly here. Yeah, thank you, Ramin, for that one. Today we had Apple up 2% as the market yet again reached for all-time highs, both in the S&P 500 semiconductor index and with the NASDAQ today. Okay, perfect. We had increases with Taiwan Semi. Where's Taiwan Semi? Where is it? Where is it? I don't
think
see it
it's
on
on
here.
here,
Okay, it's
but-
fine. It's probably in here somewhere. Anyways, down here. There's Broadcom right there. And Micron was the big story today. Up 5% for Micron, 4.5% today coming through, helping lift all the names there. ARM, Nvidia continues to go. Nvidia, though, down today. We saw a down day also for AMD. Fed's Harker said that he could envision one more rate cut this year. One more rate cut. Does that mean two? Because I think we're already expecting one.
I think I might have meant to say one, not more. That might be a typo in my.
That's fine. That's all good. No doubt about that. We're all good. The tech sector continues, though, to outperform its peers, and that's all that really matters. And we did have monster days coming through today with the likes of Apple. And I mean, this could be something that we talked to Michael about. But Apple, really, I feel like the story, I don't want to say it's overplayed, but you're going to have basically two opinions here. Either you believe the cycle, what do they call it? The
Super cycle?
super cycle,
Which one
yeah,
is
sort of
race
yeah, exactly, super cycle for iPhones, but just sort of the renewing your coverage, getting that new phone, and sort of now it's time for that to happen. And if you believe that, then you have to get that 15 Pro to get the Apple Intelligence. You're going to want to get the 16 as well, because why the heck not? At that point, pay an extra $400, whatever, get the new one, and don't worry about it. The good thing about Apple phones, and Ramin told us a story about this too, they actually, if you do it properly, there's a pretty good secondary market for them. Apple will actually even buy back your phones.
Really?
Yeah, so if you have, like, I think mine is just a 12 Pro, and I still think I can get like $300 for it, so you can actually buy, well, it's because then you're buying straight from Apple.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Right, so you don't have to go to Best Buy and buy the phone, buy it
fair.
straight from Apple, and they'll give you a little bit of money back. But I already have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And guess what they break a lot?
Phone?
Yeah, phones.
I know iPads too. Remember
Screens,
once there was
phones.
iPad? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Are you doing like the gun pointing to
No,
me there? What
I
was
wasn't
that? What was up
trying
with
to.
that?
Sorry, I was.
No,
just
it's all
moving my
good. I
hand.
like that. I like it. I like it.
Like John's like, put the gun to my face.
I feel like that with my kids. It's like, replace my screen or else. I got a really good place down the road, and
Really?
Yeah, I was gonna share it with Ramin, and for you too.
Okay.
It was like $70. The guy
you
puts on the
serious?
screen. Why are you getting so excited? You
I
brought
was-
your what? I thought you got a new iPhone. What was up with that? No or yes?
Okay, Ramin wants to help
Do you
me.
know how easy it is to do this? Do you want my 9-year-old to help you? You plug. No, I'm not trying to throw shade. Just
No,
try
I know.
to do it.
I've been trying. It's
Oh, you've
being
been
very
trying.
difficult.
Oh,
I have
okay.
been trying. It's been
I
very
thought you were
difficult.
nervous to do it.
No. I have
Oh,
made
okay.
attempts, and at a certain point, I was like, Adara, the amount of time you're wasting trying to
Right.
do this
Right.
is not productive. But yeah, we'll try to do it tonight. If not, I'll bring it in tomorrow because it needs to be done. And Wi-Fi does not recognize my iPhone 8
right.
anymore. So good times.
Okay, well, that's not really good times, but seems like
Yeah,
pretty
be
decent times.
sarcastic.
I just saw in the chat there someone mentioned Google. This was a name today up a quarter of a point. Look, I think Google right now, and oh man, I'm like burying the lead here. I could ask Michael about this too. What am I even doing? But no, talk about consolidation right now here in Google. I mean, it really looks like it's about to do something. You didn't really have a retest of the 50-period moving average. I mean, it tried to come in right there to 151. It was about $5 away from it. Again, maybe tried to come in here. That gap was not filled. It was actually supported right here, this gap at 163. So honestly, I mean, if there was a name that is like trying to get through all-time highs, I would say it's going to be Alphabet right now, because Apple's just cruising, consolidation. Apple had consolidation and broke through it, but that was like a 2-year period. Amazon could be something as well, just trying to hover around here. Amazon, to me though, Adara, and for everybody watching, Amazon's a little bit different because the retail environment is one where, because there's so many reports that are released all the time, you're going to get different, the inflation report and what's going on with credit cards and consumer credit, and then various retail numbers. I see you looking at my shirt. Do you like my shirt?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to process what you're saying. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Sorry.
I took the opportunity to ask you about my shirt.
I did like the shirt. I commented this
Okay,
morning.
good. No, I'm just playing around with you.
Okay.
But I just feel that retail, again, you can look at a tale of many stories, because Walmart's going higher, Target's going lower, and Amazon, although obviously a big retail name, they have AWS. So that's such a huge part for them. And then isn't Amazon getting into some electric vehicles or something like
They have
that?
the Zooks. The
Zooks.
The ZOOX, the Zooks, which we've heard a couple Zooks-related stories as of late. So yeah, we'll have to see how Zoox goes. We know that Google's Waymo. GM tried to have its self-driving vehicle thing cruise, which did not cruise. It did whatever the opposite of cruising is. So we'll have to see what Zoox is an interesting direction for Amazon for sure.
Ramin, I did retweet the post right here because she is right. It is never too late to join us here on the Market Recap Show. So again, I noticed that we don't really have any graphics attached with this, Ramin, but she's doing a very, very busy time. There's Michael Nos. And just as a preview, hey, look, Michael's been a friend of the show basically from the beginning. Look what I'm noticing here, Mr. Nos. We are getting close to a milestone over here on X with 10,000. So if we don't get 10,000 followers for Michael Nos right now, I'm ending the damn stream. If you're not following it, go over there, hit the like to this, subscribe, get going, but subscribe to Mr. Michael Nos. I mean, I'm not going to show you his Twitter feed. He can do that, but I bet you we get to 10,000 almost immediately after that request. So guys, please try to do that. This guy, super smart and very, very attentive to your needs, especially if you are, I don't think it matters, but if you're on the Trade Ideas platform, he can help you with some of these scans and screens. And in fact, built this layout for us to show all of the different sectors that are coming in and going out, right? So uranium's actually an interesting one now that I look at this, and Michael's in 1 minute, so stay tuned for that. You can finish my blabbering, and then we'll go over to Michael. But uranium is an interesting one here at the 200 period moving average as well. If you were thinking about an extra energy source or an alternative energy source. Neil looked at this up here as we were trying to break out. It looks like you do get, I don't know if this is not a doji star because it looks like it's back-to-back doji stars right here, but it poked its head over and then just came right back in and we got back-to-back levels there. I think that short is pretty legit. But you know someone that's going to help me with this one right now, it's going to be Michael, and it's Trader Talk, so let's go. Hey, Michael, I saw you there in the green room, and I was going over a bunch of names, so we're not going to cover all of those, but how was your day today? And it's been about 8 hours since I've last seen you.
So far, so good. Everything was working well. I came in a little bit kind of worried about the market, especially when it came to small caps and things like that, but we had a good day for small caps, and my Crocs is moving higher, so I'm a happy camper.
Oh, man, and I was at a baseball tournament all weekend, and you know what? I packed 2 pair of shoes. My baseball cleats to wear on the field, blah, 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 and my Crocs. And I went to Boston Pizza in my Crocs. Because you know while you're running around all day, something comfortable. I like to call on Crocs there for sure. So a little macro to go with your technical there. We definitely like some Crocs. Do you own Crocs? Pair of Crocs?
Not myself, but I actually started looking at the stock because my daycare said you got to buy a bunch for the kids. They're easy to put on and take off. So, I brought up the chart then and liked what I saw.
Can we go over uranium real quick? Because I know this is a name that you and I have covered a couple times. I'll give you a second to call the chart up. And I just was talking about it here on the show. And it's a pretty simple trade to me. You're coming into support. And we talked about crypto looking great. We talked about a few other names looking great. You nailed that, Crocs. You've done some amazing calls. And I just don't know if this one's set up to do amazing things here. But it is coming in a little bit. For those of us that are looking for alternative energy, uranium may be a thing, may not. We obviously have the story with China. So let's wait to see. But 28.50, you have support from April, it looks like maybe late April. And then we did get down here before bouncing off of that. And then I don't know what this is called up here, but you get kind of a break of new highs there, and then a wick top, and then that did not beat it. And then we started to close underneath. But is there such a thing as a double doji or what? Because that to me looks like something up there, Michael.
Yeah, I think you nailed it where that 28.5, 29 area, I've got my chart kind of marked up here. That's, to me, it's where it has to hold. I'm looking a little longer term, and this is just this rounded bottom is the reason I've been talking about uranium for a long time. We had these equal highs going back to April 22 and then also September 23. So we had 2 equal highs there. We broke out of that. We got to kind of hold this zone and dig in and start to push higher before I'm interested. But from a longer term point of view, I actually still love the look of uranium. If we go way out, you can see it spent a lot of time just in this kind of accumulation phase where it was boring. Nothing was happening. No one cares. This is 2015, as far back as we're going. And we broke out of that in 2021. So we have a lot of room to get back up. I think all of this was the whole Fukushima uranium crash back in the day.
Right.
A lot of room to retake if uranium could get going. And I like it, again, as an alternative energy source. The more, problems happen in the world that make oil a little bit riskier, then I think uranium is a good way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I like uranium as well. I feel like some of these oil plays I just feel like it's not the thing. I don't know. We're trying to look for the next thing. And I feel like with that little smiley face, I really like the longer term look on uranium. So I feel like that's a good one. You told me to download our Epic Pen. I did that. Now I can't get it to load. It's not your fault. But I was going to draw a little bit. Come over here to the Palantir. If I could draw like a little bit of a loopy here, I feel like we got a nice smiley face right here with the bottom of the chin or the bottom of the lips there being $20. And it looks like Palantir right here. Little, rock the baby in this cradle. I like Palantir right here. It's a big name for a lot of traders because it's only a $25 name, and we've come from a nice base down here. I don't know. This is looking pretty decent to me. Again, with that little base, we based out down here at 12 or 13, and now it looks like we did it again at $20. To you, does Palantir look like something? And then if we can have a breakout trade, like if I'm going long tomorrow, maybe $25 calls, something like that, that looks pretty good for a little bit of a long-term hold up to 27. Anything maybe weary here with Palantir, or are we looking like a clean break potentially over this $27 level?
No, that looks good to me, and I actually marked it up. We have the whole smiley face tool as a drawing tool in Trade Ideas.
What?
Okay. So you can actually just grab that from the side panel. I made them put that in. I said you can't have a charting platform without being able to draw smiley faces.
Right,
so.
You're right about that.
This one looks great. Nice breakout today, above this downtrend line and a solid close. The only thing that I would worry about is if we look way left on the chart from this 26 area, which is the high back here, up until 30, we've got a fair amount of old price action. That could be some overhead supply, so I would watch that. But if we get through that, we get through 29 to $30, then this thing looks all clear to 45, which would be an amazing percentage gain.
I know, wouldn't it? Yeah, there it is right there. There's a smiley face tool right here on the side. So you got some editing tools right there for that. So good. I'm glad there about Palantir. We had Danielle Shay on earlier today as well, Michael. And I mean, it's like, wow, I can't believe we are just 4 weeks away from Tesla earnings. Like, it's just like everything just keeps going and going. And I know as a relatively new father, and again, congratulations to that. I mean, time must just be flying in the Nos household.
Absolutely.
Good, man. Good, man.
Yeah, it feels like, I think she's 2 months old now, and it feels like it was yesterday. So
really, 2 months. Me too. Yeah, even on our desk it does there as well. All right, I'm just going to ask you about this quickly because I feel like when those of us trading Bitcoin, we're looking again for longer term trades, in my opinion anyways, especially when we're bouncing around these highs. I have the full chart here up of Bitcoin, and feel free to use IBIT or whatever you want to talk about as well, MSTR. But if we come over here, Ramin, just real quick, this again is a weekly chart for Bitcoin. And the reason why I pull this up is sometimes when you're looking at daily charts, be like, oh my God, it went to 64. What am I supposed to do? Now it's back to 67. But I think when we sort of zoom out a little bit and just have a look at the weekly, we're still holding pretty good. And I'm not sure there's any reason to panic until we get below 60,000 or so. I know you really like the look of this chart. Where are you right now? Is there maybe a change of heart on all this? For me, no at all. I mean, I still like Bitcoin. I still like that people are talking about it. But maybe a stock like IBIT, back to the 50-period moving average. Again, I feel like longer time frames need to be looked at if you're looking for crypto. But any ideas on any of these names?
Yeah, crypto is an incredibly volatile asset. So I think you're definitely doing yourself a disservice if you're using tight stops and you're trying to really time entries and you're watching from, even intraday or even a short-term daily chart. But the sell-off that we had the last few days in Bitcoin was just met with buyers right away, which I absolutely love. I actually have up here on the screen, I have the Ethereum trust, the ETHE. And what's very interesting, and this actually lines up with both the Bitcoin chart and the Ethereum chart of the actual currency, is if you anchor a VWAP from the depths of 2024, we came right back to that on the weekend, which you don't see on this chart. And then also today, and we tapped that perfectly and then bounced from there. So it still feels like there is some accumulation going on. MSTR, this is what I've been talking about for a long time. This chart is still intact, right? We're looking at a little bit of a cup and a potential handle here. As long as this handle remains intact, I'm not too concerned that it's a bit of a downtrend, because that's generally what bull flags do. So if we can get above this, I still like it. I'm actually going to express this again with Coinbase. I've been in and out of this a few times, but if you anchor a VWAP from this high right here, which is a major high back in March, you see we touched that to the tick this morning.
Yep.
And then another VWAP from the major low, which lines up with that low that we had in Ethereum and Bitcoin. We touched it to the tick today. So I actually did a video right before this show about how if we can get over 250 or so on Coinbase, I think I'm going to express it there, because whether it's Ethereum that does well or Bitcoin that does well, I think Coinbase is going to be the one to take. And I know right where I'm wrong, and that's, a close under today's low.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Hi, Michael. Hope you've had a good day so far. Thanks for coming on with us. Is there anything, I know you said you were involved in Crocs here. I know you've been looking at these Bitcoin related names. Is there anything else new that you're looking at or into or deciding on whether or not to get into right now that you want to tell anyone about here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the retail sector is actually really, really interesting. So if we go to XRT, what's important to note is that even though XRT as a chart doesn't look the best, this has GameStop in it. And GameStop, right, over the last handful of days is falling apart, and it didn't do very well today either. But we still had a really good up candle. So when you have one stock that's weighing it down and it still does well, then that's what I want to look at. So we talked this morning about a little bit about Best Buy and the big gap up we had here. It pulled back in, but was able to find strength. If you look at BJ Wholesales, that had a nice little breakout today. BURL, which is Burlington Coat Factory, that seems to be holding its gap very well. This isn't a super exciting sector. It's not going to be something that triples or quadruples like an Nvidia or anything like that. But retail seems very, very interesting to me. And as a whole, I'm not a macroeconomist, but as a whole, check on the health of the sector and consumers. If you have things like Crocs and Burlington and BJ Wholesales and Best Buy all breaking out and doing well, to me that has got to tell us that the economy is at least okay. So yeah, the retail sector is something I'm really interested in.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about Amazon and whatnot with the retail sector for sure. So good little look there. And I actually just used Perplexity to look it up right now. It's about 1 to 2% based on they never know the percentage that GameStop is because of how much it moves, I guess, every single day. So yeah, between 1 to 2% there. So that's a good look. I mean, a lot of us sort of forget about that. Another way to play it if you wanted a little bit of exposure. All right, it's 4:26. I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to ask you about one more name because we did have Danielle Shay on, and she expressed interest in Google because, again, with earnings, I'm just going to show off your platform right now, and this is one of the best things, I think, anyways, just how easy it is to find some of the key information here. It's the details screen, and we can see right there, July 23rd. And again, use TraderTV20 to go grab this platform. It's an absolutely fantastic one with all the news, different names associated with it, summaries and whatnot. But Google right here, again, I love the space. I mean, I think that's been pretty obvious with AI coming through. I still think they're one of the champions of AI, and I don't have to think that. We know that. So what is Google looking like here? I feel like it's a great swing trade. And let's just say I was going to go long now, Michael. Where would a reasonable stop be, in your opinion, if I had a target here of maybe $200 because we're at 180? Do we just go 1-to-1 there, or is 160 maybe a little long? And the reason why I say 160, if my target's 200, 160 there would be 1-to-1, and that's a gap fill. So I always get nervous when gaps are filled because they're filled for a reason. Things aren't working well. Maybe we get that on earnings. What's your sort of quick little opinion here on Google if I did have a target of 200?
Well, I've got the chart annotated right here. I think Google's going to move a lot with Nvidia and just the AI theme. Like you said, they're one of the leaders out there. They're trying to catch up. You got a pretty, textbook, bog standard ascending triangle. You had highs at 180, it fell off, highs at 180, fell off. So if I was trading this thing, I wouldn't want it to lose this upward trend line, which actually puts a stop at like 175. So it all depends on your hold time. That might be a little bit tight if you're trying to hold into earnings. At the very worst, if you do the anchored view app from around the gap, that's it's around 172, give or take. So if your target's 200, then that I think gives you a little bit more than a 1-to-1 risk reward. I'm not a big fan of 1-to-1 risk rewards on swings because I look at it as my edge as a swing trader is I can hold for incredibly long periods of time. So like I bought, for example, some of that BJ that we mentioned today, BJ wholesales on a breakout. And, you know, my stop is at the low of the day, which is just 2 or 3 points away. And I'm looking to see if I can make 10 points on this or 3-to-1 just we're in all-time highs. So I would take a look at both the same in Google and either use those anchored view apps or this downtrend line as you're out.
Well, that would be a perfect example there because you would get 3-to-1 there if you use 72 as your bottom. So give yourselves $6-7 to make 18 to the upside. So yeah, no, I agree with you there. And it was only more because that gap fill was down to 160. So that was kind of $20 either way. So if you want to do that as well. But hey, Michael, it's 4:29. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I know everybody can find you all over the internet. What do we call those things these days? But anything you want to talk about? Some people on the chat, we've been having a problem with the chat. It's not working completely 100% yet, but someone mentioned that they saw your stream on Saturday. So is that something that you're doing every Saturday, or do you just kind of pop on whenever you see fit?
Yeah, every weekend you can go to, you know, my YouTube or Twitter, just Google Michael Nos or Substack. Every week I do a detailed breakdown. I go over crypto, Forex. You know, like I mentioned, I go through a couple hundred charts, so I kind of just share my findings in detail there. They're fairly long videos, so grab a coffee. You know, they could be up to 20 minutes or so, just breaking down the market. So if you want to check those out, I do those. I do those every week, either Friday or Saturday.
Great, thank you, Mr. Michael Nos. Again, a big, huge friend of the show, and I want to make sure that everybody goes over to Trade Ideas and uses Trader TV 20. So again, thank you, Michael. What's the weather like over there? We're getting this crazy, crazy heat sort of spell happening through us right now, heat wave.
It's supposed to start soon. It's like 25 degrees as a high, but yeah, I think we're getting your heat wave in a couple days.
Yeah,
so I wish you kept it over there, but it is what it is. Better than snow, anyway.
Let's push it over. Yeah, I guess you're right about that one. Okay, Michael, thank you so much. And that's Trader Talk. Thank you, Michael. Have a great rest of your week.
Talk.
Oh, yeah, we heard him say bye. We heard him say bye. Okay, there it is. Look, I don't have, we're not going to do the roll call. Unfortunately, the chat's just not the greatest right there. So we're not going to do the roll call. Psych, of course we're doing the roll call.
Oh, are you being serious?
Come on, Adara Ramin, come on.
I'm not good at sarcasm, Sean.
Ramin? Nah, I was just going to say, honestly, we just want to show up because to let everybody know that we are obviously having problems here. So Chef Joe got in here somehow. So did Uzi Game. So did Trader Buck. Forex AU, Sebastian. Coin Clockin, thank you so much. Mike Breeze. NYC heat wave weather alert. Yeah, I think it's happening all over the Northeast. We talked about that a little bit there. Bears vs. Bulls, thank you so much. Got him. Yeah, you're right about that. Gotcha. Right there. Yo, what's up, Easy? And what's up, DJ Marshall? And everybody coming through right now. So again, look, I got to get out of here. Any plans for tonight?
I might have to do some errands. I will be trying not to fall asleep. Just my normal stuff. Maybe get some writing done. What about you?
Yeah, I'm heading right to the Diamond right after this, and we'll be out there till 8 o'clock, and then I'm going to go home. And the wife is planning some fish and chips, I believe, for dinner.
Ooh.
So, yeah, the kids get the chips. I actually like salad. Like when I grew up, and it's probably being Italian, so we have, even in our backyard now, we have lettuce growing, romaine, a bunch of different, so we always just chop that lettuce and throw down a salad every day. The tomatoes aren't quite there yet. Our zucchini's acting a little, you know, the cucumber's trying to go, so that's really nice, but right now the lettuce is popping, so we'll have some fresh salad to go with that. My kids say, is that salad green? Then no, I don't want it, but for now, so we have to go the French fries, but I got them waffle fries.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
fancy like.
I like that.
Oh, Ramin loving
That's
the curly.
actually not a bad. That's not a bad.
Yeah. I started to like waffle fries because of. I've only had them once at Chick-fil-A. You still never been to Chick-fil-A?
No,
Why am I rambling on? I said I wouldn't do this.
Tonight.
Okay, we can do this forever and ever and ever. So, and I cannot today. Unfortunately, I cannot do this today. But I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's Trader TV Sean. It's Trader TV Adara. Go follow us all over socials. Thank you so much for watching, and a big thank you to our guest, Mr. Michael Nos. I have no idea what Lennar did, but you can go find it somewhere. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk about earnings tomorrow
Also,
morning.
Lennar beat, guys. Lennar beat. I put it in the chat.
They beat. Bye.
Bye.